Is this gonna be it? Is this gonna be the ending of the game? Will we finish it in this sitting? I only just now realized, or I guess this might be the first chance that we'd see it, where it says all those bad endings and then it just says end one. End one. This journey is slowly coming to a close here, feels. Maria, gone. I can't even move over to the right at all. I can't swing to the right. Maria's absence very much felt in even the menus of the game. Welcome to the stream. Took yesterday off, so now for the next however long it takes to finish out this game, just tonight, maybe. I have no idea how fast these are going to go. This ending is going to be, so. One night, rip indeed. 2 nights, 3 nights. I expect this game not to last Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I don't think so. If it does go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's because it takes Tuesday, Wednesday to like finish the main game, and then maybe we do the way I'm envisioning the finale of this game is that we finish whatever the canonical story this thing is, but I still want to go back, and I'm sure I can find somewhere online easy spoiler-free unlock, like way to unlock all the like bad endings and everything, which I just want to see them all. Like, I feel like the bad endings and everything to this game are worth seeing. So if it goes Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, then in my head it's like tonight and tomorrow we finish up this final hour, if it is indeed the final hour, and then Thursday maybe we do like a much more laid back, I can just easily plow through, see what the paths and choices needed to get the bad endings, and then just kind of see those. And then that would mean Friday night is The Last of Us Part 2. Kind of funny how this worked out pretty well. Hey Dis. Hey Gage as well. So yeah, last night was off. It was just a weird... it wasn't that weird. It was just a Monday. I think starting either Thursday or Friday, I'm going to officially start working from home for quite some time being, apparently. Finally, I'm getting my turn on doing that. And then from there, I might be potentially working from home permanently. So I'll fully be able to regress to my hermit self and never have to leave my apartment, ever, again. Very much looking forward to it. Just as we're starting to get that second wave. Just as the people of Texas are all coming down with COVID-19 again. Because shit, of course. And then the governor's like, oh, it's the teens who aren't adhering to social distancing. Dumbass motherfucker. Did you say you found a guide? Because like I said, I assume it probably wouldn't be too difficult, especially with this old of a game, of just finding a spoiler-free, like, decision-making guide to see all the bad endings. Yeah, if you want to send me that link at some point, that'd be dope. Alright, so depending on how this final hour plays out, we may be looking, like, I kind of want to just do this. Like, part of me is like, I could go a little longer tonight and maybe go 3 hours, 3.5 hours. I don't know. Kind of playing it by ear. Okay, yeah, that would be exactly what I want. For what will end up probably being Wednesday or Thursday stream. Because like I said, the bad endings to this game also just give off the charm. This game. I love it. I love them. Alright, whose story are we feeling to start with? I just have a bad feeling everyone's story is gonna end shittily. Like, no happy endings allowed in this game. I'm gonna start with Kano. I love Minorikawa too much to give him to see the ending of his first. We're gonna go with Kano. We started with Kano, and we'll start the ending with Kano. Oh no! 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 I take it back. I take it back. I don't want this. Nope. Go back. Go back. I gotta think happy thoughts. Kingdom Hearts announcements today. They, it was kind of leaked a bit through their own website, but a Rhythm Kingdom Hearts game later this year, apparently. And I won't say too much about it, but there's a clip of the UI of the Rhythm section of the game. And it's like Sora, Donald, and Goofy like flying through the air or something for the music on the music track, while the scene of like Shion dying from 358 over 2 days is in the background. And that clip just sent me reeling. For some reason I found it very funny. Alright, back to the sadness. Oh god. Okay, a gunshot rang out, weird hyphen, from Tatsuno's gun. But it was a wild shot. Oh, fired reflexively as the weapon flew out of his hand. A figure had leapt from behind the water storage tank, kicking him in the arm that held the gun. Then, moving almost too fast for the eye to track, the newcomer delivered an elbow strike to Tatsuno's jaw. Kano didn't even have the chance to fire his gun. Before he could react, Maria's kidnapper was already laid out on the ground. Without so much as looking back, the girl bolted down the stairs. "Maria!" Kano shouted. He started to chase after her, but a bright glimmer in the corner of his eye stopped him in his tracks. The strange assailant had drawn a knife and was preparing to slit the unconscious Tatsuno's throat. Kano quickly brought his gun back to bear. "Stop right there!" The knife stopped, mere millimeters from Tatsuno's neck. Kano was sure that if he hadn't intervened, the director's throat would have been slit already. The knife wielder pulled back the hood that had been concealing her face. "You! I know you!" Kano said, shocked to see that he recognized the attacker. It's Mysterious Kanan Girl, who I feel like at this point in the story, I feel like we should know more about her, but she's still very much just shrouded in this weird, nebulous mystery. And still looks like she's 16. Like, and she just fucking murder people. It's very strange, very strange. It was the girl who'd been knocked down by the minivan explosion. Ah yes, the infamous minivan explosion. "Why stop me?" she asked, her tone ice cold. "Weren't you just about to shoot him yourself?" "I don't have a reason to shoot him anymore. Not now that you've helped Maria escape. Please, put the knife away." She's creepy. She's a little creepy. Creepy vibes. Very well. Looks like he's not waking up for a while anyway. The girl withdrew the knife and rose to her feet. Why did you come to Maria's rescue? Because she's my friend, the girl said simply. She's been infected with the virus, Kano said. We have to get her to help as soon as possible. He headed for the stairs that Maria had scampered down. Not so fast. Don't move. The girl's sharp tone made Kano stop. What for? He demanded. I thought you wanted to help. I do want to help her, which is why I'm not letting the police get their hands on her. The girl's voice was quiet, but hard as steel. Oh man, this is the heel turn where we find out Kanan's just fucking crazy. Just nuts. The police are afraid of the Uber virus spreading, which is why they'll certainly place Maria under quarantine. If that happens, there won't be any way to save her. Just who in the world are you? Before I answer that, let's make a deal. Kano waited, non-committal. I have information relevant to this case, the girl continued. I want to make an exchange. Kano swallowed the lump in his throat. An exchange for what? Tell me where Hitomi Asawa is. Hitomi Asawa? Stanley had taken Hitomi into custody. Kano could probably get in touch and ask him where she was, but... Why do you want to know where Hitomi is? Do we have a deal or not? The girl looked like she was in no mood to argue. Still, if she knew about the Uber virus, she was probably telling the truth about having information. But it was a violation of police policy to leak information on any investigation to a third party. Besides, was it wise to trust this young woman without knowing who she was? Kano weighed his options for a moment before replying. You know what? In this house, we trust Kanan. Alright, I'll tell you, Kano agreed. The girl gave a tiny nod. But first, what's your name? Kanan, I think. I think that's... I still never fully nailed down. I just rather say Kanan than Kanan. Kano thought back to the grisly scene at the Foreign Syndicate's hideout. Did she do that? Oh. Wait, no. We're fucking reading. Okay, it's because it's an inner monologue, so that's why it's italicized, and then the one she is not italicized, so it's the reverse. You would want to do the inflection on the she. So it is what I was originally being like, oh, that makes more sense. Did she do that? I don't know how to read. He was almost afraid to wonder. There was still a lingering trace of adolescence in this strange girl's face. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She looks like she's like a kid just gonna fucking murder the whole police force in their sleep. It was hard to believe someone so young could be a covert Middle Eastern operative, and yet Kano had seen how quickly she'd been able to render Tatsuno unconscious. Alright then, guess I'll go first, Kanan began. There's someone out there trying to get their hands on the antiviral drug. My objective is to eliminate this person and put a stop to their plan. Kano felt neither surprise nor horror at her use of the term eliminate. After all that had happened today, he realized his sensibilities had gone numb. This person you're after, you're talking about an arms dealer named Alfred, aren't you? Kanan nodded. The Uber virus has been weaponized and tested several times on the battlefield to great effect, she said. The antiviral would render this weapon wholly ineffective. Countries the world over are dying to get their hands on it. Then why did Alfred orchestrate this kidnapping? If the goal is to get the antiviral, why not just steal it from the laboratory? There's a lot about this kidnapping case that still didn't add up. Kano was sure Alfred's plan was hidden in those baffling details. Lab security at Koshi Pharmaceutical is practically perfect. The place is under surveillance 24 hours a day. and getting to where the antiviral is stored requires bypassing 3 sophisticated electronic locks. Getting the antiviral out is impossible. Unexpectedly, a sly grin appeared on Kanan's face. "If you were Alfred, how would you steal it?" she asked. "Huh?" Kano was taken aback by the sudden question. He thought good and hard about how to answer. Oh shit, our first 4 option question. What does C even mean? C is garblygook. And D is lame. We're going B. Blame it on Asawa. Asawa heads up to the lab. Wouldn't he be able to get it out? No. Access in the storage facility requires the authentication of both Kenji Asawa and Mamoru Tanaka. It's impossible, even for one of them, to gain entry alone. That's right. Stanley had mentioned the same thing. I mean, I knew that. I thought there was going to be some revealing thing. The lab security also performs a thorough body search at the building's exit. This ensures that employees can't sneak materials out of their out on their way home from work. That level of security was perhaps understandable. Kano tried to think of other ways to gain access to the drug, but none came to him. 6 days ago, Alfred injected Hitomi Asawa with the virus. What? The tale had taken a sudden and very unexpected turn. So it wasn't only Maria who had been infected, but Hitomi as well? And 6 days ago at that? Wait, hold on. Hitomi Asawa was perfectly healthy earlier today. So that must mean... Exactly. Kenji Asawa administered the antiviral to her. An unsettling thought occurred to Kano. It was supposedly impossible for Asawa to access the antiviral all by himself. But if he'd been able to give it to his daughter all the same, then that had to mean... He needed Mamoru Tanaka's help to do it, of course, Kanan said, which is why Alfred bribed Tanaka ahead of time. So that's what happened. Tanaka had been paid off to inject Hitomi with the virus. Getting Asawa to take action at that point wouldn't have been difficult. But why go to such lengths to get the antiviral administered to Hitomi? Why would Alfred have Hitomi infected with the virus only to then have her father cure it? It's been roughly a week since she was given the antiviral. The DDS is still in her body. The what? Essentially, taking blood from Hitomi Asawa now would allow someone to extract minuscule amounts of the antiviral. Kano was stunned. Suddenly, all these seemingly unrelated threads were beginning to form a pattern. So, since getting the antiviral itself out of the lab wasn't an option, Alfred must have thought of using a human vessel, he murmured. Which means the thing that Alfred's really after is... Kanan nodded. Yes, Hitomi's blood, she finished. Alfred specifically requested that Hitomi make the ransom handoff, Kanan said. Additionally, the crime syndicate was hired to carry out a relay with the Itachi case containing the ransom money. This would disrupt the investigation and distract the police, allowing the kidnappers to target Hitomi in secret. Wait, no, hold on. There was something about the story that still made no sense to Kano. Tell me this, he said to Kanan. I mean... no. Shoot, Why not use Tanaka for the vessel instead of Hitomi? Tanaka could enter the lab along with Asawa, then secretly inject himself with the antiviral. It didn't seem like that would be terribly difficult. A good question. If getting the antiviral were the only goal, that would be the most expedient means of doing it. So then why use Hitomi Asawa? Kano asked. Kanan thought for a moment before answering. Tanaka may have objected to the idea of giving himself the drug. I hear that it can have some severe side effects. But she seemed unconvinced by her own words. Do you know why they targeted Hitomi? Kano demanded. I don't, but I'm sure there must be some reason. Alfred hadn't gone with using Tanaka, which would have been the sure thing. Instead, they'd gone with Hitomi. Hitomi was injected with the virus, brought into the lab, and used to sneak the antiviral out. Now, the plan was to extract the antiviral from Hitomi's blood. But, something about this idea still struck Kano as incredibly odd. So wait, why not just abduct Hitomi from the very beginning? Why kidnap Maria instead? I'm sitting here thinking, before I'm even reading these choices, now I'm getting like all big-brained, five-head, like I'm thinking, who else in the story? What would be the connection then? Why would they want to use Hitomi? And now I'm confusing myself because of the whole fucking like I have a thought, an idea, and I'm just trying to put it out into words. So my guess is that it has, again, then something to do with the organ transplant thing. Is that all this is building up to? That the reason they wanted to put it in her, and then is it going to be some kind of reveal that Alfred is the Achi Endo's dad, and he's like levels upon levels of a bad dude, and not only is he trying to get this antiviral for whatever fucking means, whatever, but also get the organ for his daughter. And now I'm getting confused in my own head about who has the same blood thing. The Bombay blood. Is it Hitomi? Is it Maria? They both look alike, and I'm confusing myself with my own thoughts. Bombay blood? Okay, what the fuck am I picking for? Why not just abduct Hitomi from the very beginning? Why kidnap Maria instead? Also, this is giving off very hard, like, what's another visual novel type game that I played where it was like, this is like towards the end of the game and I had to make sure I was picking the right choices for certain things. Maybe like, this is like Danganronpa 2. Or maybe the first Danganronpa, where like you get into the final chapters and like you have to pick the right choices to see certain things, and this is giving off that extreme vibe where he's like reflecting upon the whole game with this Kanan character as Kano. And so like now I'm really stressing about picking the right choices in this like multiple choice test. Too much pressure. Yanagashita. We haven't seen him in a while. He's still on the table. He's still the wild card here. It's cheery. Not satiated with the buffet that she had earlier. She's the mastermind. One more time. So wait, why not just abduct Hitomi from the very beginning? Why kidnap Maria instead? A seems too dumb of a choice. Surely they wouldn't have been so foolish as to abduct the wrong target. So mixed. The girls hadn't gotten themselves mixed up, had they? Is he implying that the two girls themselves confused each other? I think it's just crazy enough for me to want to pick it. The girls hadn't gotten themselves mixed up, had they? Maria with Hitomi, Hitomi with Maria? If that were the case, then the Syndicate's plan actually had been to abduct Hitomi. Yeah, Kano said excitedly. When you think about it, it all makes sense. Kanan gave him a look. No, it doesn't. Not that it isn't an interesting idea. Fucking called it. I knew it was just so stupid. I was like, there's no fucking way. Now my Kanan Kano, or Canon, now I'm getting the name Kanan and Canon mixed up. Canon Kano, Jesus, is dumb. Just a big old dummy. Well, so much for that, Kano thought. I've met both Maria and Hitomi, Kanan said. They look alike, but they're completely different. That was definitely Maria who was just here just now. She had a point. Last night, back at the Asawa residence, when Hitomi had agreed to make the ransom handoff, her parents would have been with her, and they certainly wouldn't get Maria and Hitomi confused. It was hard to believe the girls had actually switched places, which meant the criminals had deliberately abducted Maria after all. It'd be like mixing up two completely different colors, Kanan said. They're that different. So it wasn't Alfred's mistake. It's my fault that Maria was kidnapped. Kanan looked away. I contacted her before this all started. I told her about the kidnapping plan, and I gave her a GPS beacon to give to her sister so I could track Hitomi's location after she was abducted. But my plan backfired. Maria switched places with Hitomi and let herself get taken by Alfred. What the hell? Why hadn't Maria taken this to the police? Or, if she was so determined to protect her sister, why not just get her to leave town or something like that? There must have been some sort of accident, though, Kanan continued. The GPS was never turned on after the kidnapping, and I wasn't able to track Maria down. But there was something that even Alfred hadn't counted on. Kanan cast a glance over at Tatsuno. This person right here, she said. So, Tatsuno had disrupted Alfred's plan by going after Hitomi himself. Considering where it's all led, Kanan continued, Alfred must be panicking about now. But we can't let down our guard. Even now, I'm sure the mastermind is thinking of some way to fit what this man has done into the master plan. So it's a perfectly imperfect plan. Is that what you're saying? Precisely. Kanan flashed Kano an approving grin. I heard that from Stanley, Kano said. The man who drove you to the hospital earlier? That case officer, huh? Case officer? So that was it? Stanley was CIA? The U.S. Embassy in Akasaka functions as the headquarters for CIA's Japan branch. As the embassy building is not reliably secure, however, the agency carries out many of its activities in specially constructed embassy annex facilities, often under the guise of cultural exchange organizations. There are reportedly over 100 CIA personnel active in Japan, but given the inherent secrecy involved, the exact number is not officially known. Now that Kano thought about it, it all made sense. Since Alfred is an arms dealer with worldwide connections, I don't know what nation might be trying to obtain the antiviral. Obviously, any country that has the viral weapon would want to prevent their enemies from obtaining it. It's no huge surprise that people are butting in trying to put a stop to Alfred's plan. A tiny beeping sound caught Connor's attention. Kanan pulled a PDA from her breast pocket. Personal Digital Assistant refers to various types of small portable devices for information management, occasionally also referred to as a handheld PC. PDAs, man. Interesting. The GPS I gave to Maria has just been powered on. Now I can find her location. Where is she? She's on the move. But why is the GPS suddenly active now? Kanan frowned. At any rate, I've told you what I know. Now tell me where Hitomi is. Alright. Kano got out his phone and called Stanley. The American was quick to pick up. What's going on? Where's Hitomi? We're on our way to Endo Electronics in Dogenzaka. Endo Electronics? Why are you going there? Kano was familiar with the dilapidated old storefront. He had passed by the place countless times. Too long of a story. There's a lot that's happened, Stanley replied. How are things on your end? About as bad as they could be. But I'm getting closer to the truth. Please, make sure you keep Hitomi safe. Alfred is after her blood. Her blood? Kano told Stanley what he'd heard from Kanan. I see. So, that's what's going on. Once we're finished with things in Dogenzaka, I'll bring Hitomi right back to the precinct. Where is she? Kanan asked as soon as Kano had hung up. She's on her way to an electronics store in Dogenzaka. I see. Kanan checked Maria's location on her PDA. First, I need to get Maria, she said. I'll get to Hitomi after that. I'm going with you. Be my guest. With that, Kanan was off and running. Kano took one last glance at the unconscious Tatsuno, then hurried after Kanan as fast as he could. Dun, 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 dun. They ran from South Hill in Nanpeidai toward Shibuya Station. As they darted and weaved madly through the narrow side streets, Kanan took an occasional glimpse at her PDA. It felt to Kano like they must be taking the shortest possible route to Marie's location. He stayed quiet, keeping pace as Kanan led the way. Before he knew it, they were heading up Dogenzaka. In not too long, they'd be at Endo Electronics, where shit will hit the fan. For sure. Hey, Kano called out to Kanan. What? She shouted back without turning. Are you sure this is the right area? Are you doubting the GPS? Let's question. Actually, can I see that GPS unit? Kano peered over Kanan's shoulder and saw that the GPS was indeed pointing in the direction they were headed. They weren't just running around at random, nor was the unit broken. Huh. Endo Electronics is right up ahead, he said. What? Kanan stopped abruptly. What are you suggesting? The twins are heading for the same location. That's my guess. Still, what did that actually mean? Kano hadn't figured that out yet. They took off running again, and before long, Endo Electronics came into view. Kanan stopped in front of the shop door. Right here, she said, glancing again at her GPS. I knew it, Kano thought. Endo Electronics, the same place it told me it was headed. Guess we're all winding up together, Kanan said. Or else we've been brought together. Oh no, she peered keenly at the building and its surroundings. Kano swallowed hard. We? You think we've been roped into this too? Quite possibly. Kanan flashed a winning smile, then started to head into the shop. Hold on, I need to report into HQ. Kano hurriedly called Kuze on his cell. Kano, what's going on? I've located Maria Asawa. Huh? What's that? Kuze's words came out as a surprise and childish yelp. Come on. Kanan's smile turned to a steely glare. Time is critical. He nodded silently back at her. Kano, what's the location? Kuze asked. Where are you? I can't say right now, sir. Please, just leave this to me. Hey! Now just hold on! Kano ignored the director's squawking and hung up. Kanan had already entered the shop. She seemed wholly unconcerned by the idea that she might be playing right into Alfred's hands. Despite her youth, she clearly thought of herself as quite capable. Warily, he followed after her. After navigating a veritable cavern of junk, they came to a door that led to the living area beyond. Kanan quietly opened the door and immediately stepped inside. The home was divided into a dwelling area and a workroom. A man's voice could be overheard from the workroom, raised in anger. Don't you want to save Suzune? Kano and Kanan crept closer. Peering through the next doorway, they saw a tense confrontation in progress. Oh my god! Shit is hitting the fan! Okay, Marie and Stanley were standing there. Oh my god! Looking down at a middle-aged man who had restrained Hitomi with a stun gun pressed to her throat. Dad, of course I want to help Suzune. A young man stepped into view, speaking to the older fellow. But do you think this is what she'd want you to do? Kano watched intently, tensing for action. There was so much at risk here. He was about to barge into the workroom when Kanan grabbed him by the shoulder. Let's wait and see how this goes first, she whispered. He realized this was good advice. If they provoked the older man, things could very well take a sharp turn for the worse. They just have to hope the young man could talk him down. Young man. Bum 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 bum. Shit's in the fan. Shit's in the fan. Okay, so I assume this makes it seem like everyone's gonna get to that same time frame before I can proceed with anyone else, like, beyond it. Like, I'm gonna see how everyone reaches that area, probably, and then it will allow me to proceed, I assume. Now I feel like we should leave Achi towards the last, towards the end there. So I guess we're going to Sawa. Sawa! The rain won't let up. The sound is growing louder and louder inside my head. It is the sound of regret splattering against my heart. My emotions surge like a terrible storm within me. I never wished for this. Never expected my heart to be dragged so far beyond my control. We can't save Maria. We can't save Maria. We can't save Maria. The words stormed through Asawa's mind in a relentless cacophony. He called up images of the bodies from the human testing trials on his computer monitor. He couldn't help but imagine his daughter in the same gruesome state. In just a few more hours, Maria would begin hemorrhaging blood and die just like the people in these pictures have. We can't save Maria. We can't save Maria. We can't save Maria. He couldn't shake the words or the reality from his mind. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Asawa began pounding his fist fiercely on the desktop. Sir, what are you doing? Kajiwara tried to intervene, but he kept on pounding away. When he finally ceased, the pain of the repeated impacts lingered in his hands. It was a little creepy. Obviously, this wouldn't be conveyed over stream, but the controller was doing like weird pulses throughout that whole thing at like weird intervals. Very creepy. Creepy. My research was never about any sincere desire to help people, and now I'm paying the price for that. The one time it finally matters, I can't even save my own daughter. Mr. Asawa, Kajiwara set a hand on his shoulder. You can always blame yourself later, but for now, think again, good and hard. Is there really no other way to save Maria? Nothing else we could try? Asawa shook his head. The only means we had left was using Tanaka's password to unlock the doors. And now Tanaka is dead. There's no other way. Is there a possibility that Mr. Tanaka told someone else his password? This was something Asawa hadn't considered. Was there anyone Tanaka might have shared his password with? Fucking I, dude. Fucking I. Go put her on blast. Put her on blast. Only one person came to mind. Well, yes, there may be someone. You're referring to I, sir. Kajiwara cast his eyes down. You figured that out then? Yes. Back during the commotion over that listening device. A necktie clip isn't typically the sort of present one gives to one's husband's co-worker. And yet, although some might consider it somewhat, inappropriate, Mr. Tanaka was wearing it as if it were a matter of course, which, implies something about their relationship. Kajiwara's voice trailed off. He coughed apologetically and tried again. I realize it's an awkward situation, sir, but please check with your wife. Even if I does happen to know the password, that does us no good if Maria gets quarantined someplace we can't reach her. I understand, Mr. Asawa. I'll bring Maria to you then. I'll do everything in my power to make that happen. Just fucking... The detective then produced a bunch of bananas from his pocket. These are all left over. You're more than welcome to them, sir. Despite his gentle smile, the rest of his face was firm with resolve. You said you didn't care whether other people understood you, didn't you, Mr. Asawa? Asawa nodded guardedly. At the risk of being presumptuous, sir, I understand you, Kajiwara said. Man! Kajiwara trying to make me feel things. I gotta say, I know I mentioned this at least like a few streams ago, but the whole transition from the beginning of the game when you're playing Asawa's storyline and Kajiwara's in Asawa's mind, through Asawa's mind, we're being built that Kajiwara is this antagonistic force. And then, like, this slow transition of, like, oh no, Kajiwara's a good guy and everything. It's great. It's great. I used to be quite the workaholic myself. You're just like me, innocent and awkward. On another occasion, Kajiwara was shocked to run into a man who looked just like him. The fellow was a stylist at a hair salon Kajiwara visits on occasion. He let out a gasp of surprise of his own upon seeing the detective. Kajiwara felt a peculiar connection and was expecting go to the salon regularly. This whole paragraph is built weird. But when the stylist asked what he did for a living, Kajiwara answered honestly that he was a detective. The other man's face went pale, and he bolted out of the building. Kajiwara never saw the man again after that. What the fuck is this? What? Huh? What is this whole paragraph? Oh my god. Okay. Alright. Whatever. It's like, I don't know what I just read. Like, at first I thought that paragraph was going to be some really interesting thing, and then it just made no sense. Calling yourself innocent, huh? How modest of you. Sawa let out a sardonic chuckle, and after a moment, Kajiwara joined in. The next time I see you, Mr. Asawa, I'll have Maria with me. The detective gave a slight bow, then left the study, a look of determination on his face. Asawa watched him go with admiration. No matter what trouble arose, the man always looked for something he could do. He really was a fellow who knew how to hang tough. Hang tough. Compared to that, I'm just... Asawa couldn't even articulate his own self-disgust. Damn same. Damn same. Alright. And asking Ai about the password would also mean inquiring into a relationship with Tanaka. The prospect was daunting. Venturing into the emotional territory of another person was his weakest suit. He left to study, but somehow found himself making his way to Maria's room, not Ai's. He realized that he hadn't been into his daughter's room since a certain rainy day years before. Now he stepped quietly inside and saw Maria's world laid out before him. A small photo was set atop her neat and tidy desk. It was a close-up of someone's hands doing a cat's cradle. Whose hands were they? From the skin tone, they didn't appear to be Maria's. Several more photographs were pinned to a corkboard that hung on the wall. They were snapshots of people and townscapes from the Middle East. One glance at them and Asawa felt like he was back there for a moment. The images weren't necessarily aesthetically pleasing, but they all looked like they'd been taken by a professional. No worries. I'm sure I'll be able to fill you in. I can just, we'll play it, and then I'll just recount literally everything. Sentence for sentence. Sentence by weird sentence. When he spotted the last photo on the corkboard, however, he was certain that Maria had taken them all. Oh, look at that picture! Oh, what a dad. What a dad. The last picture was of Asawa himself. He was facing the camera, awkwardly, holding some luggage and flashing an awkward smile. Yeah, awkward. It was a comical, affectionate image. He'd never known that photography was one of his daughter's hobbies. No, this went beyond a mere hobby. Did she perhaps aspire to be a professional photographer one day? She certainly had the aptitude for it, from the look of things. Maria, a photographer, a photographer. As he mulled the idea over, Asawa felt his chest tighten. Right now, it looked like Maria's hopes and dreams were about to be snuffed out. Now I've got hiccups. This is awful. Her future consisted of bleeding to death. Jesus! A few short hours from now. And we all know if you bleed to death, you can't become a photographer. Asawa stared vacantly out the window. The view from Maria's room remained unchanged from so long ago. Again, that rainy day crept back into his mind, as vivid as the present. On that day, Asawa was dealing with some pressing business from work. He'd ensconced himself in his study. Wrestling with some paperwork, when Hitomi barged in, looking distraught. Maria's gone. Sensing that Hitomi was legitimately alarmed, Asawa hurried to Maria's room. He found a letter she'd left atop her writing desk. Dad, you only care about Hitomi. You're always working and never do anything with me, so I'm running away. A few hours earlier, he'd canceled their weekend trip to the amusement park. He just wasn't going to be able to get his work done in time. Hitomi had resigned herself readily enough, but Maria just couldn't accept it. She'd been looking forward to it for so long, she railed at him. How many times now had he broken one of his promises to her? Hitomi understands why we can't go, so why can't you do the same? The cold rebuke had ended her complaining, but it was clear she still didn't accept the situation. Now Hitomi helped him look around, but they found nothing missing from Maria's room. Despite her assertion that she was running away then, it seemed like there was no point in being overly concerned. Maybe she's at the park she always goes to. Hitomi looked worried. The park was roughly a 25-minute walk from the house. It would only take about an hour for Asawa to go get her and bring her home. But an hour was more than he could afford to spare right now. Dad, I think she's waiting for you to go after her. Asawa didn't need Hitomi to tell him that. He knew it well enough. That was what galled him so much about the situation. Why did she have to pull something like this precisely when his work was at its busiest? He'd done everything he could as a father since his wife had passed away. Why couldn't his daughter see that? The fucking daughter! It's alright. Your sister will come back. The rain was coming down pretty hard outside the window. Do you think she brought an umbrella? Hitomi asked anxiously. I don't know, but with the rain like this, she'll come back home soon enough. He spoke the words for himself as much as for Hitomi. Then he headed back to his study and got back to work. But several hours went by, and still Maria did not return. The rain had gotten even more intense, to the point where Asawa could hear it in his study. He was so concerned about his missing girl that he couldn't focus on his work, but he stubbornly refused to give in and go search for her. It's the mark of a good dad. Several more hours passed. At last, Maria appeared at the front door, soaking wet. Asawa met her silently in the entryway. Wet strands of hair clung to the girl's forehead as she looked up at her father with a bitter glare. You don't care what happens to me, do you? Fuck this scene again. Smack. Immediately, Asawa smacked her across the cheek with the flat of his hand. 50 lashes. It was the first time in his life he'd ever struck anyone. He hadn't known such a violent impulse could exist inside him. Maria stood there, her hand pressed to her cheek. Tears welled up in her eyes. She began to tremble. On her lip was a small bead of blood. A flood of guilt and regret rose up inside Asawa, as if he'd just shattered some intricate piece of glasswork. How could I do such a thing? He clenched his shameful hand into a fist. Didn't we get this? Not only did we not get this flashback before, and it was in Asawa's part 2? Or did we get this flashback and it was in someone else's eyes? Because I could have sworn we got this flashback told from Asawa's point of view again. Maybe I'm just going crazy. Maybe I'm predicting the future back then. And in that moment, he was afraid of Maria. Afraid that his daughter could bring such raw emotion out of him and make him do something so thoughtless. But even more, he was afraid of how stunted he was as a human being. Was someone like him really fit to be a parent? What kind of future could Maria and Hitomi hope for with a father like him? Yeah, what the fuck? Why am I being told this story of him slapping his daughter again? That was why he'd married Ai, as Makino had proposed. I just heard a weird noise outside my apartment. It sounded like one of those rubber chickens. Scary. Having a mother is a weird part to get that sound. Having a mother, he decided, would help keep his family together despite their sad excuse for a father. But in so doing, Asawa had dug a psychological ditch between himself and his daughters. A deep ditch, so that he could keep his daughters from being hurt. So that he wouldn't hurt himself. Now Asawa was staring across that ditch, wondering if it was too wide to leap. He thought back to his earlier exchange with Kajiwara. If you get angry, you show it. If you get sad, you show it. It's human nature to let other people know how you're feeling, after all. But what if doing that hurts the other person? That's when you apologize, sir. Yes, I was right. He needed to apologize to Maria for what he'd done that day. It still wasn't too late. It's never too late. When it comes to family, there's no such thing as game over. He recalled Pretty Honey's words. He needed to apologize to Maria, and so he needed to ask Ai for that password. Saul was going to have to face his wife. A very somber keep out there. Very, very, very somber. Very gentle. Alright, I'm gonna get a drink of water real quick. And then we'll continue. Or I'm gonna go to the bathroom as well. I need to go bathroom real quick. So bathroom, water. We'll go to Achi. Or we'll go to Minorikawa. If you want to pick, you can. But I gotta get some water and stuff. Sorry, that took a little longer than expected. Had to handle something else as well. On the trip to the bathroom and the water. Let me see here. Choose a storyline that contains Yanagashita. I mean, I think between the two, I think it's more likely he would show up in Minorikawa's story. Although I would say probably both highly unlikely. No, fortunately not that. The weird little vent in my bathroom was leaking a little bit of water again when I came home from work, I found out. So I had laid like a towel down and it was all wet. And I was like, I need to do something with this and not just let it sit there on the ground. So I moved it, replaced it, and moved it to the washer. But I think of a way to like transport it as neatly as possible while being soaking wet. So there was a lot of hemming and hawing as I was doing that. I thought about that. I just don't have a good big old bucket thing. Like, if I used anything like a Home Depot bucket, it would have been full. I think it would have been full with the amount that was coming. And I don't want an overflowing bucket in the bathroom. And then the biggest like container thing I have in my apartment that I can think of is currently holding like random things inside of it, so I didn't want to like move it. I'm just trying my best here, man. See, that would be smart if I had the ingenuity to do something like that. But I'm dumb. So. I mean, I could probably whip something up really poorly. It would just have to be like a ramp, like you said. I just have to somehow stack a couple boxes or something to make a steep enough incline to do the thing, and then I just don't know what I'd use to like I don't know what I'd use as the ramp part. I don't know what that would be, but I'll think it over tonight. The TV news continued to report on how Mamoru Tanaka had been killed in the minivan explosion. What? What does this mean? Chiaki blinked in confusion. Oh yeah, okay, Minorikawa. We're doing no Minorikawa. They're all in the publishing place with the loan sharks. Yeah. I mean, Hana told us herself that the van explosion was her father committing suicide. Didn't she? The only explanation I can think of, Minorikawa replied, is that Hana was lying. He scratched his head as he considered the situation. But why? Chiaki said. Ozu let out a snort. Well, it would seem Mr. Toyama had her lie in order to deceive her, or deceive us. What an upstanding individual, using his own daughter to buy himself some time. Norikawa wanted to yell at the guy, but he managed to hold his tongue. He's still all dusty and dirty. The important thing was that Toyama was still alive. And if he was still alive, then there was still a way to save Heaven Publishing. They'd get the current issue out on time, with a big scoop waiting in the wings for the issue after that. From there on out, it would be smooth sailing. Well, no matter, Ozu said. Seeing as Mr. Toyama isn't dead after all, we'll just wait here for him. We'll just wait here for him. I thought I was like missing a word there. He sat back down on the sofa, but Sagawa leaned threateningly toward Chiaki. Hey, he snarled. You sure you don't know where the guy's hiding out? I don't, Chiaki shot back. And even if I did, I'd never tell you. Say what now? He leaned in even closer just as she stood on her tiptoes in defiance, and their foreheads collided with a dull thud. Both reeled back, clutching their heads in their hands. Okay. Just calm down, Chiaki, Norikawa said as he began rooting through Toyama's desk. For now, I'm gonna look for clues to where Toyama might have gone. You just focus on working on your article. Oh? Ozu raised an eyebrow. Getting all cooperative all of a sudden, I see. I want to change up the plan for next month's issue, and I can't do that without the editor-in-chief's approval. What Norikawa was actually looking for, however, was a back issue of 4-Star General Gossip. He was pretty sure the article on Asawa had been printed in the magazine's inaugural issue. If he could find that scandalous piece that the scientist had asked for, he'd also be able to get his big lead about the power balance of the world being at stake. And if he could get that, not only would next month's issue be a sure thing, it was a good bet that sales figures would go through the roof. He found a file folder full of early material and quickly flipped through it. It didn't take him long to find the article. Floundering Akoshi Pharmaceutical arranges marriage of political convenience. Large headline practically jumped off the page. Norikawa quickly read over the story. The basic gist of it was this. The corporate director of Akoshi Pharmaceutical had sacrificed his daughter in order to keep a researcher named Kenji Asawa on board. The daughter, however, had previously been dating another man. That must be what Asawa wanted him to look into. The guy's wife had been dating before they were married. Should be easy enough to just ask whoever had written the article. Norikawa's gaze jumped to the end of the piece, looking for the writing credit. The piece had been written by Toyama himself. Hey, ain't you done yet? Sugawa yelled. Tell us where Toyama is already. Yeah, Norikawa thought. We're going to need to do something about these guys. I'm still looking into it, he said. Just hold on. He made a show of opening and closing various desk drawers. The drawers themselves were packed with a jumbled mess of electrical and gas bills, noodle house delivery menus, and the like. Look faster, Sugawa growled. For now, Norikawa decided he better butter this guy up. Say, you look like a pretty tough guy. You work out? Sugawa grinned, thrusting his fist into an emphatic air punch. I used to be a boxer. Back in his boxing days, Sugawa was so tough, people called him the dog fighter of Shibuya. One day, however, as he was walking along, he happened to step into a strange panel that made him fall into a state of confusion and go on a rampage. He was quickly arrested and his boxing license was revoked. Arrow, the mysterious panel Sugawa stepped on. They say there are also panels shaped like feet and even panels shaped like rice balls. What is that a reference to? It's obviously a reference to something. Fuck if I know. I could drop a guy like you in one punch. Oh ho! Guess there aren't many folks who can give you a good fight then. Sugawa dropped into a fighting pose and threw a few quick jabs. Well, matter of fact, I'm unbeatable in a street fight. They call me the crazy tiger of Shibuya. Shibuya, huh? You familiar with SOS then? Sugawa's face twisted into a sneer. What, those guys? I mean, I've heard they're pretty tough too. Huh. Only one of them who'd be able to give me a fight would probably be the Achi. That Achi. Except as I hear, he left the gang. Haha, really now? Heard anything else interesting? Sounds like nowadays they're being run by some guy named Susumu. The name Susumu rung a bell. Those two young punks who'd been arguing after the van explosion had mentioned him. Seems like SOS is in a pretty rough state since Achi left, though, Sugawa added. Norikawa didn't miss a beat. What do you mean, rough state? Back in the day, they were all goody two-shoes, never shake folks down or steal or any of that stuff. Guess their founder Achi hated that sort of thing. But now that he's out, a lot of rough and tumble, hot-blooded types have been signing up with them. Smart move is not to get involved with SOS nowadays, really. Hard to find a scarier bunch around here when there's a lot of them together. And their main hangout? That's at Inferno, yeah? Yeah, over at Ura Harajuku. Known as Urahara for short. The area east of the Japan Rail Harajuku Station, around where Takeshita Dori meets Mejidori. There are many small clothing and accessory stores here, set up in renovated houses. Most of these shops are on the cutting edge of youth fashion, offering quirky and unique means of personal expression. Man, you've been listening out on the streets. What gives? Yeah. Murakawa smiled to himself. Inferno's location had practically fallen into his lap. That was quick. And you didn't really miss much. Like, practically nothing at all. Some Asala stuff, I guess. Suddenly, Sagawa's eyes went wide. Aha! So that's where Toyama is. Wait. Nah. No way a coward like him would go to a place like that. Chiaki looked up from her keyboard. Look, can you please shut up? No, you shut up. That's my phone. Murakawa pulled his cell out of his pocket. It was Toyama's name on the incoming call screen. Murakawa's heart skipped a beat. Toyama, where are you? He blurted out as he picked up. Chiaki, Ozu, and Sagawa turned to look at him as one. Well, what were you thinking, faking your death like that? Even if we could fill those pages and postpone repayment, all it would do is delay the inevitable. I'd still be up to my ears in debt. So I thought if I made it look like I was dead... Murakawa let out an exasperated sigh. Well, everyone already knows you're still alive, so your little attempt at subterfuge didn't really wind up buying you time. What? Toyama's hysterical squeak was painful to hear. Alright, listen up, Murakawa said. If it's the debt you're worried about, you'll be able to pay them back real soon. What do you mean? I've landed a huge scoop. You could do a print run of 1 million copies and still sell out if we can run it as an article. Toyama perked right up. Wait, you really mean it? I'll give you all the details, just get your butt back here. But, aren't those loan sharks there at the office right now? Fine, then I'll come to you. Tell me where you are. The two thugs crowded nearer, a predatory gleam in their eyes, and Murakawa had a flash of inspiration. Got it, he said quickly before Toyama could respond. Miyashita Park. I'm on my way now. Don't go anywhere. Ozu and Sagawa grinned at one another, then bolted out the door. Heh, Murakawa said as their footsteps receded. Those guys took the bait. I sent them to Miyashita Park. He allowed himself a cocksure grin. Right, then. So where are you really, Toyama? You imbecile! I am at Miyashita Park! What? Murakawa fought the urge to pull his hair out. The hell are you doing someplace like that? Why the hell did you tell them Miyashita Park? I thought it would be a clever ruse. Well, it wasn't. There's no time to be fighting, Chiaki butted in. Yeah, you're right, Murakawa scowled. Anyway, Toyama, those guys are headed your way. I need you to get out of there and go someplace we can talk. I can meet you there. Right, okay. They needed someplace safe and public where they could speak freely. Someplace where the staff wouldn't be overly nosy. But where? Murakawa thought. Fucking the cafe, recalling the noodle house from the menu he'd seen earlier. Nothing suitable came to mind, probably Toyama should decide. Fuck it. For comedic effect, we're going to the cafe. The familiar cafe by the station was a natural choice. He quickly described the location. Okay, Toyama said. Cafe... Lettre. Got it. I'll see you there. He hung up and Murakawa quickly gathered his belongings. Chiaki! How's that copy coming along? Well... almost done? Just a little more, I think? Alright, bring your computer and come with me. I'll read over what you got so far. Murakawa waited as Chiaki got ready to head to the cafe. As the two were heading out of the office, however, someone else opened the door. If it's Yanagashita, Gage, I picked... You got 14 minutes and 57 seconds left to send to press. The writer submits to the editor submits to the designer. This is the next step in that whole handoff process naturally. Being late for this causes quite a lot of trouble. 56? 55? Who? Huh? Game, we're almost at the end of this story. Can't start introducing these characters. Slender man with a gaudy necktie entered the room and sat down on the nearest desk, staring fixedly at his pocket watch. Pretty much. It's like alternate universe. Kano, who didn't join the detectives, he joined the editing team. Norikawa narrowed his eyes dubiously. Who the hell are you? Always make sure to show up 15 minutes ahead of the appointed time. That's just common decency. The man gave no indication he'd even heard Minorikawa's question. I suppose I can wait here, he continued. Just for another 14 minutes and 20 seconds. Mr. Mino? Is this guy talking about our submission? Jackie stared doubtfully at the newcomer. Hey you, Norikawa asked. Are you from the printer? But the man did not reply. Don't ignore me. Are you from the printer? Still, the man remained silent. Who the fuck is this guy? Norikawa was furious. Look, cut the crap, he roared. In response, the man quietly reached into his suit pocket and pulled out his business card. My name is not Heiyu. He handed the card to Minorikawa. It read, Cho Nippon Printing Company, Ltd. Sales Department, Division 1, Koichiro Katayama. I'm Koichiro Katayama, newly assigned to Heaven Publishing. A pleasure to meet you. My predecessor is in the hospital due to a car accident. Sachio Usui, 39 years old, single, longtime veteran at Shicho Nippon Printing. Rather timid by nature, the strain of dealing with publishers makes him sick to his stomach. At around 1:10 earlier today, while driving to meet with one of his clients, he had to swerve to avoid a young man and woman who darted into the street. He crashed into the car next to him and ended up at the hospital. We did that. Yeah, we did that. He should make a complete recovery in about 2 months. This game is going to make me go all the way back there to reverse that decision. Well, what are you doing here, Katayama? Norikawa asked. I thought we had until 8 o'clock to complete proofreading. 8 o'clock? Surely you must be joking. Our company's proofing deadline is 5:30. Katayama stared fixedly back at Norikawa. Now that had to be a joke. I heard from the editor-in-chief that it was 8 o'clock. I take that to mean, then, that you don't have any copy for us? It's not that we don't have it, Norikawa said. It's just not finished yet. Just hold on until 8. Katayama raised an eyebrow. No. Publisher and printer need to work in concert. Perhaps my predecessor was the sort to delay the proofing deadline owing to your circumstances here. But now I'm in charge, and I do not make exceptions. The proofing deadline is 5:30 sharp, and I intend to keep it that way. And while we've been having this discussion, you're down to 12 minutes and 32 seconds. Katayama held out his pocket watch as if to emphasize the point. What a punk. What a punk. That's ridiculous, Norikawa exclaimed. Just who the hell do you think you are? You guys are going to be printing a paper that I wrote. Do you even know how lucky that makes you? So just wait, okay? Just give us... 3 more days? What the fuck? Huh? Fuck it. Just give us till we're done. Until you're done? And when might that be, I wonder? Katayama's tone was dubious. A lot of dubiousness going on here. I said till we're done, Norikawa snapped. And I mean till we're done. Katayama thought for a moment, and then nodded. Very well. Then I shall wait. Until you're done. Really? Katayama gave another slight nod. Why is she so creepy? You got 10 minutes and 46 seconds left. Hey! As soon as I leave here, that's when you'll be done, you see. Katayama's face was a mask of cool nonchalance. You son of a bitch. Don't get all high and mighty just because you work for a printer. High and mighty? I'd say it's the people on the publishing side of things that act high and mighty. Whatever high-minded claims you might make, without us, you have nothing to put on the store shelves. Forgetting that and blithely ignoring your proofing deadline makes for more work on our end. Just what are you getting at, I wonder? Now it's 10 minutes and 20 seconds. Narakawa ground his teeth so hard he could hear it. His usual tactics were useless here. Katayama was simply too unflappable to be browbeaten. If he backed down now, though, it was game over. Gamma Ovar. 10 minutes and 7 seconds remaining. I realize there's little point, but I'll wait until the designated time. That's just common decency. Katayama's pet phrase. Ah, yes. Thus far, he has said, that's just common decency 3 times in this story. Always make sure to show up 15 minutes ahead of the appointed time. I realize there's little point, but I'll wait until the designated time. There was one more. Do you know when and where it was? Wait. Did he even... Did he? I don't know, game. Get out of here. Katayama's eyes were once again locked on his pocket watch. It was no use. Is that some kind of fucking mystery? Am I supposed to... Game, do you want me to go back here? Do you want me to rewind? Where are we? Where the fuck am I in the story? Where am I going? Wait, I went way too far back. Just another... Are you from the printer? Cut the crap. You got... Okay, I suppose you can wait. Hey, are you from a printer? My name is... complete... What are you doing here? This is... Now I'm panicking! Where? Sure, I haven't even... And you don't have... It's not... It's just... Oh, okay. No, he didn't even... 15... Now that... Where did he even... Where am I? Why does it feel like there's missing pages? What is happening? Okay, he comes in. He's here. He starts counting. A slender man. Who the hell are you? Okay, that's just common decency. There's one. Yes, okay. What was the other one? I realize there's a little point, but I'll wait until the designated time. Why is this game making me do this? And yeah, it's not making me do this. But why am I just fucking... But now I'm in charge. I proof it, and I intend to keep it that way. And while we're having it, you're down to... This... It's meta. Somebody have to... It's cool. Also due to it, you should make a complete recovery. My name's not Hey You. I mean, it's just... I don't even... It's hard to eat when you're just given the text. Like, it's hard to know where you're at. That's what I'm saying. That's the only reason I'm curious. Like, was it something even really bizarre? Where, like, way earlier in the game, some character said it's only common decency, and then this is some weird tie-in thing? That's why I was gonna check, but I can't even... I'm struggling. I struggled to even just find the first time in the text. Now the game wants me to find it 3 more times? 2 more times? Minutes. Whatever, high and mighty, it was just... Okay, so yeah, I realize there's little point, but I'll wait until the designated time. This is just common decency. That's right here. Duh, I'm an idiot. So, there wasn't a third time. There was one more. Do you know when and where it was? And it says was, so it means it happened in the past. At what point... Plus this music, I'm like... it's just driving me insane. There was... Is it saying there was a point in the game where that line was uttered and it's making some... Oh no, this is the type of thing that would drive me insane. Or will drive me insane. Oh no. Oh. Okay, I can't. We can't do this. We can't. I mean, I wouldn't put it past it either. I wouldn't put that past this game. Oh god. Okay, Katsuyama's eyes were once again locked on his pocket watch. Okay, one last quick thing, right? Here's the second time it happened. And the way it's lined up, right? Like it's, here was the first time, here's the second time, so you're like, okay, where the fuck is the third time? And we scrolled. We scrolled. It doesn't happen again in this meeting. And whenever did we didn't meet this character before. Hey, would you not put it past this game that these blurbs throughout this whole game have always been like weird and not, as we've seen, utter nonsense sometimes? And then like to have like them give like, okay, so as like a game making thing, wouldn't it have been, especially if like, imagine there's some players that just think those little footnote things are just so stupid they don't even check them after a point. Wouldn't it be interesting to have like a very, either a meta type reveal like this, or like some interesting plot thing revealed? Like I remember a couple streams ago in this when it started giving that weird story about the play people, where I was like, wait, what if this ends up being like a really huge... Now, we're getting to the end of the game and I don't know if they'll finish it, but so it doesn't seem like it's happening, but there was a time where I was like, what if this is all building this story thing about this theater troupe or whatever the fuck it was? Like I thought it was like some gonna be important narrative thing. Yeah, it's crazy. This is gonna keep me up at night. Fuck this game, man. I love it. There was one more. Do you know when and where it was? The only thing I can think of is that this is some weird narrative thing where this line was, that's just common decency, was said in some random instance. And of course, back then we wouldn't have known anything. It was just a line. But the way they're presenting this character as like this antagonistic force, and then like it might have been said somewhere down the line before. Sorry, I'm spending like fucking 20 minutes on one page. Minoru Kawa couldn't find a way to talk this guy around. Chiaki held her hand up. May I say something? Isn't it also common decency not to break a promise once it's been made? If you're referring to the 8 o'clock deadline, I was not the one who promised that. Maybe not, but I believe your predecessor's responsibilities become your responsibilities. Katsuyama crossed his arms and gave her a bemused look. What's your name, miss? Chiaki, she said bashfully. Chiaki Iso. The printer's expression brightened visibly. Good. That timid hesitation of yours is just splendid. You have none of the arrogance so typical among publishers. Huh? Chiaki was taken rather aback. In deference to your polite demeanor, I shall wait until 7 o'clock. That is the latest I could possibly allow. All right, Minoru shouted, practically in Katsuyama's face. We agree to those terms. No, I wasn't talking to... but we've got terms of our own. Kachiyama reeled ever so slightly. I'm not certain you're in any position to set terms here. Just shut up and listen. From here on out, you're coming with us. What? Why? We're going to finish up our copy on site, then burn the data onto CD and hand it over to you there. That's why. Kachiyama let out a sigh of resignation. Oh, very well. I suppose I'd simply be waiting here anyway. Minorikawa pumped his fists in victory. Alright, Chiaki. Go and copy the DTP data we've got so far onto your computer. Sure thing, Mr. Mino. Chiaki quickly set about copying the data from the editing department's desktop. Okay, done. Then let's go. With the others in tow, Minorikawa headed for the cafe, where Toyama would be waiting. This fucking game, man. They reached Cafe Le Trait without incident, and Minorikawa promptly spotted the publisher. Over here, Toyama hissed, eyeing his surroundings with obvious unease. Hana sat by his side, sullenly sipping on some juice. Sipping on the juice. The waitress came over as Minorikawa joined them. May I take your order? She asked. Water. Just water, sir? Fine. Make it a double. Fucking... Oh, God. Exasperated, the waitress headed back to the kitchen. Toyama looked over at Katsuyama. Who's this guy? I'm Koichiro Katsuyama from Chonippon Printing. Katsuyama presented his business card. Toyama turned to Minorikawa with a quizzical look. What's someone from the printer doing with you? I'll explain later. There's no time for that right now, Minorikawa replied. First, I need you to answer some questions. Does the name Kenji Asawa ring any bells? Asawa? Toyama closed his eyes and thought. He heads up a laboratory in Nikoshi Pharmaceutical. You ran a piece on him in the first ever issue, 4-Star General Gossip. Toyama's face lit up with recognition. Ah, yes, that political marriage piece. Yeah, that one. Do you remember the details from that article? Of course. Who do you think I am? Toyama puffed himself up proudly. I used to be a local news copy editor for the Central Times. I've got the details for all the stuff I've ever covered here in my head. In that case, do you know who Kenji Asawa's wife was dating before they got married? Toyama blinked his eyes vacantly. Hey, what's the matter? Minorikawa asked. This is a pretty tough pop quiz you're giving me. Surprise, kids, it's time for a science quiz. What colorless, odorless gas, lighter than, and air... lighter than and air, and used for consumer and municipal gas applications, is also known as marsh gas or swamp gas. Tune in next time for the answer. Guess your choices are helium, ethylene, propane, and methane. Which is fucking propane or methane? Right? I don't know science. It's only common decency. Cut the crap, man. You just said you have all the details inside your head. Oh, they're in there, alright. They're just not coming out. Minorikawa slumped. Mr. Toyama, please. Whether or not you'll be able to pay off your debt depends on your memory here. Hearing this, Hana cast a cold glare up at her father. Alright, I can remember, or I can at least try. Toyama folded his arms and hummed to himself, his gaze turned inward. So... I feel like it was a really common name. Sato? Chiaki chirped. Yamada? Was it either of those? They're pretty common names. But Toyama shook his head. Minorikawa offered a guess of his own. Endo. Don't do Endo. Tanaka? Do I just give him the answer? Tanaka? No, not that. It was something else. Just then, the television inside the cafe switched over to a news report on the Shibuya explosion. The remains of the individual discovered within the minivan itself, who has since been identified as pharmaceutical company executive Mamoru Tanaka, Mamoru Tanaka. Toyama turned around to look at the TV. An image of the victim's face appeared on the screen. Bah! The publisher blurted, nearly falling out of his seat. That's it! It was him right there! Mamoru Tanaka! That's what I said! Tanaka! Toyama pointed excitedly at the TV screen. That's who Kenji Asawa's wife was dating before they got married! Mamoru Tanaka! Minoru Kawa felt himself getting goosebumps. The victim of the terrorist bombing in Shibuya was also linked to the researcher who was key to a terrorist viral scare. His reporter's hunch was now a certainty. Right now, Shibuya was at the center of some massive conspiracy. This went far beyond even a major scoop. Mr. Toyama, we need to make sure that next month's issue hits shelves. Minoru Kawa called up Kenji Asawa to let him know the results of his little investigation. Oh, we won't do that yet, though. The man didn't seem terribly surprised. Probably he'd had his suspicions all along. Asawa told him that there was something he needed to do before he was ready to give details on the big scoop, but that he would call back later. In the meantime, Minoru Kawa knew he'd have his hands full getting the current issue of the gossip wrapped up for the 7 o'clock deadline. He slapped his hands down on the table. Alright, emergency editing meeting right here, he announced. We need to get a lead in on the Shibuya terrorist bombing into the next issue. The article about the twins winning the beauty contest can be dropped for that. We'll use the info from Kenji Asawa as the basis for our big scoop in the issue after that. Mr. Toyama, any problems with that? No, that should be fine. But what about the remaining pages for next month's issue? Minoru Kawa opened the file on his computer. The layout built in the DTP came up on the monitor. The report on the Burning Hammer sales demo. The surveillance camera opinion piece. The interview with Orai. Those three were finished. The copy already incorporated into the layout. Once Chiaki's street interviews piece was loaded in, that one could be checked off as well. Chiaki, how's your copy coming along? I'm sorry, I just need a little bit longer. The writing seemed to still be giving her a fair bit of trouble. The article on SOS was still just a placeholder in the layout, and Minoru Kawa hadn't even gotten any material for that, putting it even further behind than Chiaki's street interviews. Still, he'd at least learned where Shibuya's legendary street gang made their hangout. He'd just have to take the risk of dropping in on them unannounced to ambush them with some interview questions. And then, there was a lead-in for Shibuya bombing. That wasn't even in the layout yet. It was a completely blank slate. Against all odds, they were going to need to put that article together from nothing with just an hour and change. It was an impossible amount of work for just him and Chiaki to do. Well, 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 and how are things coming along? Katayama rose and came closer, trying to peer at the monitor. Murakawa hurried to cover the screen. Don't look! If the printer rep saw all the blank pages, he might decide to stop waiting. Would you mind telling me roughly what percent of the total you have completed thus far? What percent? Come off it, man. We're at 100%. If you're at 100% done, that implies you're all finished. Could I please have the data then? No, I'm saying our willpower is at 100%. I'm not even going to pretend I understand what you mean by that. Shaking his head, Katayama sat back down in his chair. Minoru Kawa, Toyama asked, his expression uneasy. So I know I asked before, but why is someone from the printer here again? Katayama promptly chimed in. The long and short of it is that your proofing deadline has been changed to 7 o'clock, he said. What? But that's impossible! Who's doing the lead-in for the Shibuya bombing? Toyama eyed Minoru Kawa and then Chiaki. Both stared back non-committally. Then it really is impossible. We'll never meet that deadline. We don't have enough people. No, we do have enough. Minoru Kawa thrust out his finger. Mr. Toyama, you're going to write that one and handle the layout. What? Heaven Publishing is your company. Won't you step up in order to protect it? Toyama hung his head. Even if I headed to the scene right now, I'm sure the other outlets have already gotten their coverage. I wouldn't be able to find anything new to write about. Okay. Elderly abuse. And so you're just going to give up? A moment later, Toyama was on the floor, Minoru Kawa glaring down at him. You've always said you wanted to tell the world about the things the mass media can or won't write about. So what the hell difference does it make if they're already gotten the sound bites thereafter? Norikawa's voice was raw with emotion. Don't you dare give up. Not that easily. Get your ass out there. Find something only you can write about. Norikawa. Tommy began to object, then he glanced over at Hana, who just watched her dad get fucking beat. There was an imploring look in her eyes as well. I get what you're saying, Toyama grumbled, but still, you're expecting a lot. But then, despite his words, he flashed a broad grin. Yeah, Norikawa let out a quick chuckle, and it's got you all fired up. Yeah, I'm fired up, alright. Toyama's face shone with a resolve Norikawa hadn't seen in a long time. There we go. That's the Toyama I know. Oh my god. You know, I'm really sorry. Now I see the huge burden I put on you. But damn it, it's gonna be alright. Getting to his feet, Toyama took his daughter by the hand and strode boldly out of the cafe, looking like a changed man. Norikawa watched them go, glad the dithering was over. Even if Toyama were still in his prime, he'd be cutting it close to do that article in an hour. But he would pull through somehow. When it came to taking care of Hana, the man would rise to the occasion again and again. Father and daughter disappeared into the crowd, hand in hand. Norikawa shook himself out of his reverie. Alright, he cried. Despite the clear blue sky, an unexpected gust of wind blew across his cheek. Come on, guys, we gotta get going too. Things might look grim, but he wasn't going to give up until the bitter end. It was time to head to the SOS hangout. Inferno. Inferno. The three ran long and hard after leaving the cafe. If the proofing deadline was 7 o'clock, then they needed to finish up with SOS by 6:30 at the latest. The gang's hangout was in Harajuku. Running all the way there on foot was going to eat into too much of their time. But traffic was at a near standstill for some reason, and there wasn't a taxi in sight. How long do you plan on running like this? Katsuyama called out, panting. Just take a look at the road. With this traffic, there's no point in hailing a cab. Even Norikawa was feeling the time pressure now. We're just gonna have to keep running until the road's clear. What? Katsuyama wailed. Stop your whining. Just keep quiet and stick with me. He'd finally gotten Toyama to find his willpower again. Next month's issue would come out on time, and no way was some printer guy going to mess that up now. But the traffic showed no signs of abating. Catching a cab wasn't going to be an option. Fighting an ever louder echo of despair, Norikawa kept up his desperate headlong rush. To rush into a situation recklessly or heedlessly, not quite the same as being daredevil. Great. Still, there were limits to how far the mind could push the body before exhaustion set in. Eek! Trip, fall, smack. Oh god. Fall, tumble. Oh, Jesus. Chiaki, no. As they were running across a pedestrian overpass, Chiaki slipped and took a nasty fall. She skinned her knee hard enough to draw blood. Hey, you! Norikawa snapped at Katsuyama. Don't just stand there. Help the poor girl already. Katsuyama scurried over to Chiaki. I'm sorry, Mr. Mino. Chiaki's voice bubbled with suppressed tears. Maybe it was cruel to make her run with her computer all the way to Harajuku. The copy of her interviews would still need to be looked over. Couldn't just leave her here. Norikawa hesitated, undecided. Even at a full run, they wouldn't make it in time. And with traffic the way it was, there was nothing they could do. You now have... Katsuyama consulted his pocket watch. Exactly 1 hour remaining. Damn it, Norikawa raged. What do we do? Relentlessly, the clock ticked on. To be continued. How dare you, game? How dare you? Dub dub. Okay, well, Achi's story's still untouched, but we have some jumping points. We must jump. When you can jump, you must jump. Da-da-da-da. Ring ring. Asawa's phone rang. Murakawa's phone number popped up on the LCD display. The reporter must have finished looking into the matter Asawa had asked about. Mr. Asawa? Sorry to keep you waiting. How did it go? Well, I looked into the background of that story you asked about, and I learned who it was your wife was dating. Who was it? Asawa asked immediately. There was a brief pause. Mamoru Tanaka. I see. Finally had proof positive of a relationship between I and Tanaka. Now, more than ever, there's no time to waver. No matter how painful the reality was, it's also true that if they hadn't been dating, there would probably be no way of saving Maria. So, Murakawa said, what was this big thing about disrupting the power balance of the world all about? There's something I need to take care of on my end first. Once I'm finished, I'll tell you everything. Yeah, that's fine. Things are pretty hectic on my end right now anyway. So I'd expected Murakawa to put up more of a fight. He'd figured a reporter for 4-star General Gossip would be a bit more persistent. That's that word. Oh, by the way, there's one other thing I wanted to tell you, Mr. Asawa. Asawa could practically sense the finger pointing his way from the other end of the line. Don't be too angry with your wife. All too often in this world, people let their anger get in the way of solving the problems. You may have a point. Asawa let out a wry chuckle. Alright then, I'll call you back later. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure. I think Asawa has the right to be upset. Asawa found Ai standing by herself in the yard. She kept her back to him as he approached. May I have a moment? He asked quietly. What? Still, she didn't bother to turn around. There's something important I need to talk to you about. I'm not in the mood right now. Please, Ai. I realize you're upset about Tanaka's death, but at the mention of Tanaka's name, I slowly shook her head. Don't. Just tell me what you want. Hurry up and get to the point. Asawa tried to move closer to her, but she pointedly kept her distance. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Let's go direct. The real root. The real issue here. There was something Asawa needed to hear for himself before this went any further. Were you in love with Tanaka? What are you talking about? Asawa frowned. Why did you marry me? He asked. You've got to be kidding. This is the important discussion you wanted to have? Did you ever love me? I let out a joyless chuckle. Love? I'm amazed to even hear the word leave your lips. There was a note of challenge in her voice. Let me ask you the same question. Did you ever love me? To be honest, I married you because I thought my daughters needed a mother. Wow. I let out a weary sigh. Some of the combative tension left her shoulders. That really is honest, she said. So I guess I should be honest too. I married you because my father asked me to. He wanted to chain you down so you didn't leave for some other company. And you were okay with marrying someone for something like that? For something like that? You really have no idea how much you're worth, do you? The value of one woman's life versus the potential profits your research would bring in. There's no comparing the two. If it meant that Akoshi Pharmaceutical would monopolize your talents, then what did it even matter what I wanted for myself? There was something akin to desperation in Ai's words. Jesus. And so you sent me those threatening emails too? What? I looked at him in shock. He knew he'd guessed correctly. You would go that far? Just to keep me tied to your father's business? That's right, I would. I bit down on her lip hard. But what would you even know about how I feel? I'm sorry. Don't apologize. I shook her head vehemently. I'm not the victim here. You say that, but isn't it because of me that you and Tanaka weren't able to stay together? I began to tremble. Her secret was out. When did you figure it out? She asked. Earlier today. That tie clip? Right. Not the sort of gift one gives to one's husband's coworker, is it? Even if it was a listening device. I'm sorry, is a tie clip that great of a gift? Like, sure, it's maybe a little out there to get your husband's coworker as like a gift, but like I don't see it like as like an extravagant thing, or like, oh wow, you got them that gift? Oh, you must love that person. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't translate culturally as much? I don't know. Maybe I'm just dumb. I smile was bitter with self-deprecation. It's like... I smile was bitter with self-deprecation. Asawa couldn't help but pity her. Even Tanaka must have suspected that she placed the company's profit above all else if she'd go to such lengths to protect its interests. It is like she'd given up her entire life just for that. Well, she said, aren't you angry? Asawa just shook his head. Could you tell me just one thing, though? He asked. Did Tanaka ever tell you what his lab password was? His password? I need to get to the antiviral out of the lab. I flinched at the suggestion. To get it out? What are you thinking? That belongs to the company. I just need one dose to save Maria. Please, if you know, please tell me. I don't know it. Ai's voice was barely a whisper. Asawa looked his wife right in the eye. You're telling the truth? I am. I see. Then, do you have any idea what number he might have used for a password? I shook her head silently, then turned her back to her husband once more. She's so cold. Tanaka hadn't given Ai his password. Asawa's last chance had gone up in smoke. He let out a long, shaky breath and shut his eyes tight. Was it true? Was there nothing more he could do? Again, very somber, keep out there. Guess that leaves Achi. Is that to be continued? Keep out. Keep out. Maria. Not dead. Just not playable. Achi told Stanley and Hitomi what his father had done. As she listened, Hitomi hung her head. Her face was sallow. I'm so sorry, Achi told her. I'm not really sure what to say. He clenched his fist so hard his knuckles popped, struggling to keep his emotions in check. So if I were rendered brain dead, you could help your sister, Hitomi murmured. A state where brain function has ceased irreversibly. In Japan, there are two conditions for declaring breath death. In Japan, there are two conditions for declaring breath death. Also, we were told this just a while ago. The first is that the patient must be comatose and in a state of apnea, no longer breathing, due to damage to the brain, breath death. The second is that the root cause is diagnosed and is deemed that no responsible treatment will restore breath function. Breath death. Stop, Achi said quickly. Please, don't say things like that. A sad look came to Hitomi's face, and she pressed her right hand to her heart. I mean, to find out like this. She turned to Achi, tears glistening in her eyes. I want to help your sister, but we have other things to worry about right now. This time it was Stanley who cut her off. Remember, Alfred is after you, Hitomi. Isn't that what Kanan told you? Yes, she said I was the mastermind's target. Hitomi wiped her tears away with her fingertips. So Alfred and Achi's father are after the same thing, Stanley said. Is that just a coincidence? Didn't sound like he thought so. Hold up, Achi growled, leaning in from the back seat. Yeah, my dad's way out of line, but he did what he did for Suzune. He wouldn't work with terrorists. I'm not saying he's deliberately aiding terrorists, Stanley replied coolly. It's common sense that a pro wouldn't get an amateur involved with their plans. That makes it too likely that a clumsy misstep will cause things to fall apart. But then again, that's not the way Alfred thinks. So actually, the likelihood of failure could well be part of the plan. Achi thought back to what Kanan had said earlier. If you achieve your goals using accidental means, the outline becomes blurred, and it makes it harder for anyone outside looking in to grasp what the actual plan is. There's still, it's gonna be crazy because I think there's still at least one more big reveal to this whole game, and I'm just dying to know what this fucking reveal is gonna be. Is it gonna be a character reveal? Is it gonna be a reveal that someone in a character in the past of this game is, you know, some whatever? Not only have they put together a perfect plan, they purposely left certain tiny holes in it. So if we assume the plan has failed, this slip-up might be exactly what Alfred wants, Stanley muttered. Sort of an intentional hole then, Achi said. Stanley snorted. Kanan told you guys that too, huh? If that's the case, then you really are a fool. What did you just call me? Achi barked. If you've known all along how formidable this opponent is, you should have given Hitomi over to police custody right away. It's only a matter of dumb luck that either of you are still alive right now. Look, luck or not, me and Hitomi have managed to get by safely. That's all that matters. What exactly is the relationship between you two anyway? Are you guys dating? Achi and Hitomi exchanged glances. When Hitomi hesitated uneasily, Achi decided he'd better speak up. No, it's not like that. We just happened to run into each other earlier today. Guess I'm not the kind of guy who can abandon someone in trouble. Can't abandon someone in trouble, huh? You sure you're not just trying to make yourself feel self-important? There are plenty of people out there that you can't see who are also in trouble, who are also suffering. If you only help the ones close at hand, then what's the point, really? The world's a lot bigger than you can imagine, and there's a lot you're blind to. So what? If I see someone who's in trouble, I'm supposed to just ignore them? Nah, I can't do that. If I see someone who's collapsed from hunger, I'm not gonna just walk on by because there are people starving somewhere else in the world. I'd be all, hey, let me treat you to a beef bowl, or whatever. You couldn't have come up with a smarter example? Stanley replied with a tiny laugh. Okay, so I'm an idiot, Achi scowled. My bad. Stanley laughed again. It's fucking Sonic-ass sounding music. Today's been an interesting day, he said. I was with another fellow earlier who was just like you. Meaning what? Was he an idiot too? Yeah, he was an idiot. Do all you Japanese have that problem? Hardly. My little sister's so smart she'd make your eyes pop out. Well, I'm sure relieved to hear that. If everyone in this country were as dumb as you guys, I might actually start to like this place. Huh? What does that even mean? Talk so I can understand, man, Achi shot back. But Stanley didn't respond. Instead, he stuck his head out the car window, peering at the road ahead. They were close to Shibuya Station now, and the traffic has ground to a halt. Gridlock again? Stanley grumbled. It's probably better to walk the rest of the way to Endo Electronics. He pulled over on the side of the road. Specifically the shoulder that runs along either side of the traveled portion of the roadway. place where trash tossed out the windows of moving cars tends to accumulate. Tossing cigarette butts and empty cans out on the street can potentially hurt people, and it definitely makes a mess. Please don't litter. Chevrolet. Achi got out of the car, feeling his guts knot up with worry. Pretty soon he was going to have to confront his father. Stanley gave Achi a look. Are you scared about meeting with your father? I'm not scared. First things first, I'm gonna punch him right in the face. Then we can have ourselves a chat. Don't let your emotions get out of control. Your father might be one of the key players in this case. I don't give a damn about that. Achi took Hitomi by the hand and started walking. They'd gone up and down Dogenzaka so many times today already. But this was probably the last time he and Hitomi would make their way up the hill together. Savor the moment, Achi. Achi walked at an easy pace, wanting to delay the end of their time together just a little longer. Once they reached his home, his kidnapping case would be all over, because his own father, Daisuke, would be arrested as the culprit. Kidnapping for ransom carries a potential life sentence with a definite term of imprisonment of no less than 3 years. Bringing Daisuke down would be easy. Achi wasn't worried about that part at all. If he didn't hold back, there was a good chance he'd wind up hurting his father. Holding back. Getting hurt. Flashback. What the fuck? A memory from long ago arose in Achi's mind. A pure white karate gi. Thrusting out with his left fist. Daisuke collapsing to the floor. One of many memories of his father that Achi could not forget. Kneeling before the memorial altar of his mother, Kotone, Achi wept uncontrollably. He clutched his Hajiki tightly in his hands. Satoe made small coin-shaped glass beads, somewhat similar to marbles. The typical game involves flicking one's pieces into the opponents with a fingertip. Specific rules vary greatly by region. Pogs. Achi had always been rather clingy with his mother. When she was alive, she had often joined him for whatever, origami and the like. On this particular day, Achi had come home miserable after getting bullied by the neighborhood kids for acting like a wimp. Achi. He turned to see his father holding 2 cups of shaved ice. Come here for a bit. They sat on the stairs together, eating their sweet frozen confections. You want to get tougher? Need some word vomit there. Suke's words were soft and simple. How about you and me get tougher together? Why am I having trouble with tougher? How about you and me get tougher together? Achi looked up at his father, frowning in confusion. How are we going to do that? Well, for starters, how about we learn some karate? Karate? Achi's face twisted up unhappily at the idea. He couldn't even imagine himself punching or kicking anyone. It'll be alright, his dad said. I'll go with you, don't you worry. Tsuke flexed one of his scrawny arms. His biceps bulged up the tiniest bit. Achi was well aware that his father wasn't much of an athlete. There had been an athletics meet at his grade school. Even now, the memory of Daisuke tripping clumsily during the parent participation relay was burned into Achi's mind. The type of children's event where the parents who have come to watch their children compete are asked to join in with them. Daisuke took part in the tug-of-war, only to get tangled up in the rope and dragged over the line. Achi was understandably disheartened by his father's embarrassing display, but after eating the lunch his father had made for him, his spirits quickly returned. Daisuke had made rice balls that were clumsily oversalted, but Achi could tell how hard he'd worked to prepare them. Aww, great dad memories. I mean, his dad's psycho apparently, but great dad memories. I guess, I mean, if you're gonna be there. And so the two began training together at a local karate dojo. Achi put on his white gi and fastened his obi tightly. As he did so, he felt as if his feelings were being anchored in place as well. Hiya. Hiya. Ichi. Ni. San. Achi's gi sleeves made a whooshing sound as he thrust out his fists in time with the sensei. I can't read anymore. Chant. Even simple kata practice made him feel like he was getting stronger somehow. His dad, having left Suzune in the care of their neighbors, was working up a sweat alongside him, but he was out of shape, and his technique was shaky. He was soon exhausted and went to lean up against the dojo wall. Achi stepped out of the training circle and called out to his father. "Dad, are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm just gonna take a little break." Daisuke sounded like he was on the edge of hyperventilating. "Thanks, Dad." "Huh? What for?" "For asking me to come take karate lessons with you." Achi was sure he'd never have dared to go to the dojo alone. "Hey, just so long as you're liking it. Now go on, get back to training." With a deep bow, Achi assumed his kata practice. As they were walking home from the dojo, Achi turned to his father. "How come you want to get stronger, Dad?" he asked. "I mean, you're not getting bullied by your friends." Daisuke was quiet for a few moments before answering. His words came out awkward and embarrassed. "I was picked on a lot when I was your age too, Achi. I had a friend who would always come and bail me out." "A friend?" "Yeah, a friend." A distant look came to his father's eyes. He was a real fighter. I always looked up to him. I wanted to be strong like him. His expression turned lonely. "I don't get to see him anymore, though." "Why not?" Achi asked. "Did he die?" No, nothing like that." "Then did you guys have a fight?" "Something like that." Daisuke smiled sadly. He stared out into the sky for a while before speaking up again. "His name's Tatsuno." "Hmm? My friend, that's his name." Achi's father increased his pace. "Come on," he said. "We have to go and pick up Suzune." After that, despite Achi's questions, Daisuke would say no more about his old friend. By the time he was almost done with grade school, Achi had grown up fit and strong, almost unrecognizable from his younger self. Perhaps he'd had the physical knack 3, in him all along. He was chosen as the representative for the boys' karate team, even managing to take second place in a national tournament. Nobody bullied Achi anymore. One time, Daisuke suggested that the two of them do some sparring. Achi may have been a national competitor, sure, but he was still a grade schooler squaring off against an adult. His father had been training for close to 2 years now as well, and his confidence had grown accordingly. Achi was excited to be able to face off against his old man. Beat the shit out of him. Early on in their karate training, Achi's kumite had seemed rather hopeless. He'd been shocked that his out-of-shape father was able to overpower him, but also pleased to get a sense of how strong the man was. This time, Achi thought, he might well lose again, but he was going to go all out. As they adopted their fighting stances, Daisuke's face was full of confidence. The instructor gave the signal to begin, and Achi opened with a sharp low kick. Low kick. Daisuke didn't guard against it. The blow caught him in the thigh. It looked to Achi like he'd allowed himself to take the hit, not fearing the effect of a child's kick. Achi proceeded to unleash several more low kicks to the same spot. Bit by bit, Daisuke's face revealed his discomfort. Finally, he yanked his leg away. That was when Achi realized his father wasn't letting himself get hit on purpose. He was just unable to keep up with the speed of his son's footwork. If that was the case, Achi felt bad about exploiting his dad's weakness. He decided to leave his leg alone. This is like some anime-ass backstory, like, thing where we're getting this story of Achi beating up his dad in karate right before we get this meeting where he's gonna confront his dad for trying to have someone killed. Instead, he aimed to punch at his father's midsection. He was shocked by the impact as the blow struck home. He hadn't attacked with a great deal of force. He'd just thrown a light midsection punch as a check. And he's dead. But as Achi pulled back his fist, Daisuke crumpled to the floor, writhing in pain as he clutched his gut. Achi stared in disbelief at his own hand. That was the last day that Daisuke went to the dojo. Jesus. He got humiliated. He's like, I'm never going back. Oh no. Your dad's pathetic. Yeah, he's such a loser. Achi was on his way home from practice and some older students from the dojo had started ripping on him. What did you just say? These kids were middle schoolers, but Achi wasn't about to back down. He thrust out with a quick punch, stopping it just short of one boy's nose. Go on, say that again. I'll kick your ass. The older boys went pale, then took off and ran. But this small victory did nothing to bolster Achi's spirits. His father looked so small and lonely heading away after quitting karate. But Achi didn't think there was anything pathetic about that. Sure, maybe by now he was better at karate than his father. But really, what difference did that make? Oh, nice. In growing stronger, he learned something. Using force to win out over someone else didn't mean anything. Strength alone didn't determine a person's worth. Achi loved and respected his father for going to the dojo with him. Beating him in a karate match didn't change the way he felt. Alright, I'm gonna get one more drink of water and then we'll go a little bit longer. Be right back. 2 or 3 minutes here. Achi resurfaced from his memories to hear Stanley talking on his phone. I see. So that's what's going on. Once we're finished with things in Dogenzaka, I'll bring Hitomi right back to the precinct. Curious, Achi turned to the American. What was that about just now? Stanley's reply was clipped. I know what they're after now. With that, Stanley proceeded to wrap up his phone call. Guess I'm not going to get much out of this guy, Achi thought. By now they could see Endo Electronics up ahead. Achi was about to hurry inside when Stanley stopped him. I'll go in first. You two wait out here. No way. This is my dad we're talking about. And you don't think it's dangerous to bring Hitomi right to him? Well, alright. We'll wait here for a bit. And once we know it's safe, we'll head on in. You cool with that? I'm cool with that. Stanley stepped inside. Achi fussed about impatiently, staring at the entryway. The palm of his clenched fist was sweating. Never before in his life had he wanted to just deck his old man. Hitomi watched him uneasily. Hitomi. Yes? I'm sorry. I really don't want you to have to see this, but I think you're about to witness the crowning shame in Endo family history. Achi, don't say that, Hitomi said. She squeezed his hand. He found his other fist unclenching. Please, you have to try to talk to your father. Yeah, I know. Suddenly there was a loud crash from inside the building. The time for waiting had passed. Let's go! Achi and Hitomi raced inside. Barging into the living quarters without bothering to shed his shoes, he heard his father's voice coming from the workroom. Dad! Achi hurried through the workroom door and saw Stanley holding his father pinned across the desk. Let me go! Please let me go! Daisuke thrashed both of his legs. Stanley, please, let my father go. I want to talk to him. That doesn't seem like a smart thing. Stanley snorted dismissively, but did as he was asked. Daisuke stood up, rubbing at a sore wrist. Dad, please, you have to tell me. Where's Maria? Maria? What are you talking about? Daisuke wouldn't meet his eyes. Don't play dumb with me, Achi pointed at Hitomi. You know who this is, don't you? Hitomi Asawa, the girl you've been after. Maria is her sister. But Daisuke remained silent. You're gonna pretend you didn't call the hospital? Nothing about maybe being able to get your hands on a heart? I mean, seriously? It's all so simple. Even I can tell what's been going on. You've been watching me and Hitomi through the surveillance cameras. And you were telling that guy with the cane where we were. The blood began to drain from his father's face. Don't you go quiet on me. If I'm wrong, then go ahead. Tell me the truth. Daisuke's arm shot out suddenly, knocking an external hard drive from his desk onto the floor. It was over and done before Stanley could stop him. Stanley hunched down and picked up the shattered drive. I'm guessing there was important data on here. Footage from the cameras, maybe? I have no idea what you're talking about. Daisuke spat. You can't do this to an innocent person, Dad, Achi shouted, grabbing his father by the collar. There was a sound of footsteps from out in the shop. Someone was quickly getting closer. Stanley grabbed Hitomi by the hand and pulled her back against the wall. Achi stiffened as he turned his gaze to the door. No! Okay, well then, who do we go to? Who is there? Whomst? These are all keep outs. Where? Oh wait. What's this? Kenji-Asawa. Is this the right jump? Or did we already do this? Oh, maybe we didn't do this one. Or did we? Yeah, this one's the one we had already done. Shot in the dark. I have no idea what I'm doing here. Oh wait, did we do this one? Is this... Is that what this is saying? Oh, maybe I had it. Wait, no? No! Is there something I'm very easily missing here? I mean, the only thing I can think of is if I click into here and maybe just choose the other option, but I don't... This was no time to mince words. Did Tanaka give you his password? His password? For the electronic lock on the lab. I need in order to get to the antiviral out. I turned to face him at last. To get it out? What are you thinking? That belongs to the company. I just need one dose to save Maria. Please, if you know, please tell me. I don't know it. I's voice was barely a whisper. Asawa looked his wife right in the eye. You're telling the truth? I am. I see. Then, do you have any idea what number he might have used for a password? This doesn't seem like anything. Well, might as well at this point. Might have used her password? I shook her head silently, then turned her back to her husband once more. Even if I did know, she said, I wouldn't tell you. Why not? Don't you get it? I's words came out as a strangled rasp. Do you even know why I'm with you? She snapped. You really have no idea how much you're worth, do you? The value of one woman's life versus the potential profits your research would bring in. There's no comparing the two. If it meant the Akoshi pharmaceutical could monopolize your talents, then what did it even matter if I wanted what I wanted for myself? There was something akin to desperation in I's words. And so you sent me those threatening emails too. What? I looked at him in shock. You knew he'd guessed correctly. You would go that far just to keep me tied to your father's business. That's right, I would. I bit down on her lip hard. But what would you even know about how I feel? I'm sorry. Don't apologize. I'm not the victim here. You say that, but isn't it because of me that you and Tanaka weren't able to stay together? I began to tremble. Her secret was out. When did you figure it out? She asked. Earlier today. That tie clip. Right. Not the sort of gift one gives to a husband's coworker, is it? I smiled was bitter with self-deprecation. Asawa couldn't help pity her. Even Tanaka must have suspected that she placed the company's profit above all else, if she'd go to such lengths to protect it. It was like she'd given up her entire life just for that. Please, don't mess my life up any more than you already have. I's words were only a faint murmur, but Asawa felt the rejection they carried with agonizing clarity. Tanaka hadn't given Ai his password. Asawa's last chance had gone up in smoke. He let out a long, shaky breath and shut his eyes tight. Was it true? Was there nothing more he could do? I don't think anything... Yeah. I don't know. Anything jumping out that I'm missing? I mean, I could keep trying other weird... little decisions, but... just the name thing. Fuck, I don't know. I don't know what to do. That's what it seems like. Like I've just made some bad decisions at some point. Like I feel dumb. Usually when there's like an impasse, you're like, oh, okay, this makes sense. I need to change this or... But even like of these multiple choice things, nothing's jumping out to me like they'll actually do anything. Sure it's the right area. Are you doubting the GPS? No, it's not that. Kind of scan the area. It's just that Endo Electronics is right up ahead. What? Ken stopped abruptly. What are you suggesting? The twins are heading for the same location. That's my guess. Still, what did that actually mean? Kano hadn't figured that out yet. Do 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 do. Boop 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 boop. That didn't do shit. They didn't do shit. Whoa. But the other problem I'm running into is like if I was to look up what the hell I'm supposed to do at this part, like I'd be afraid to just. Okay, let me check a really weird Google search. Shibuya Scramble stuck. Start final chapter? Question mark? No, no. Stuck. Yeah, this probably isn't the final chapter then, if there's a to be continued. Unless it's like a fake out to be continued. Okay, this might help. Let me see. Oh, I think I found something that might help. Here we go. Let me see. From an archive. Are you fucking kidding me? Okay. I don't know why, but I'm going to... Okay, well, it's... it's something here. I'm not gonna... I didn't see the meaning of it is for. But, maybe it's a thread I'll continue to read after I close the stream about... But the next response was like, the thing that irritates me about this choice... Apparently this is very obtuse, but... Minorikawa offered a guess of his own. Do not choose Tanaka, apparently, which is the correct choice. And choose Endo. Oh my... This game hitting me with the most obtuse way of unlocking a jump point. It's so clever, yet so infuriating to me. Endo. Chum furrowed his brow and muttered under his breath. No, that's not right. So you had to go to the name thing and pick Endo to then create a jump point into Achi Endo's storyline. I love it and I hate it at the same time. If I didn't look that up, I would have been sitting here forever. I don't know if I would ever have come up with that. Definitely not decent. Definitely not decent. Definitely not kosher. I can't believe. I can't believe. Okay. The workroom door slowly eased open. Da-da-da-da. Achi was too shocked for words. The girl who entered looked just like Hitomi. Maria! Hitomi! Achi blinked in bewilderment. It was almost as if Hitomi were standing in front of a mirror. The two girls looked so similar. Maria, thank goodness you're alright. I'm so sorry I had you worried. Maria was safe, Achi realized. At last, he had managed to fulfill his duty. How did you manage to get out of the storeroom? Daisuke had gone pale. Tell me, Maria said sharply. Who was it who came up with this kidnapping plan? Oh, fuck. Suddenly, Daisuke shoved Maria aside and lunged for Hitomi. Stanley moved to stop him, but before he could intervene, the older man had a hold on Hitomi. Pressing something that looked like a flashlight up against her neck. Dad? Achi stared toward him, but Stanley held up a hand. Don't move. That's a stun gun. It's a piece of self-defense equipment for repelling would-be attackers with an electrical shock. There are several types, including baton-type stun prods and guns that fire needles attached to flexible wires. The latter type, especially, is frequently referred to in the US as a taser or taser gun, due to the popular models produced by Taser International, now Axon. Stun guns are used not only by civilians, but also by law enforcement and military personnel for non-lethal applications. Shitty cops. If he zaps her in the neck, it could kill her. You know your stuff, Daisuke said. You deal in American electronics? No, I do this for a living. Oh god, Stanley. Okay, Stanley drew his gun in an instant, taking aim at Daisuke's forehead. No. Wait, hold on. Achi interposed himself between Stanley and his father. Dad, let Hitomi go. You need to stop this nonsense. Achi walked slowly toward his father, a pleading look in his eyes. Nonsense? Which one of us is talking nonsense here? You don't know what's going on. If you knew everything, then you'd be helping me. What do you mean, everything? With this girl's heart, we can save Suzune. Dad, who was it exactly that told you that? Oh, it's what we were wondering. Daisuke did not reply. I asked you a question. Who was it that put this crazy idea into your head? A foreign organ trafficker. I met at the hospital, Daisuke muttered. In Japan, a medical professional known as a transplant coordinator handles the liaison between the donor and recipient parties, but there are many cases of illegal or borderline illegal activity carried out by third-party organ brokers. There are countries where organ transplants are openly performed for monetary gain, and no shortage of specialists willing to do the job. These questionable markets include suppliers who source viable organs and tissue for transplant from cadavers. Stanley let out a snort. A likely story. It's true. I was suspicious at first myself, Daisuke said stubbornly, but I couldn't just sit around and wait for Suzune to die. And after talking to him about her rare blood type and all the difficulties of performing a transplant, he promised he'd do everything in his power. Daisuke's hands were trembling. Tears welled up in his vacant and bloodshot eyes. Then a while later, he got back in touch and told me he'd found a potential match. There we go. There's the answer. It was a random organ trafficker who alerted someone with the same blood type as Suzune and roughly the same age. But then he told me that the girl was still alive. And so what was the point? Her heart might be a match for Suzune's, but it didn't matter if we couldn't get our hands on it. And I said that. But then the man told me. He told you what? Achi bit his lip. He told me to abduct her and turn her over to him. After that, he'd find a way to make it all work. At last, Daisuke had confessed. Now Achi had to try to come to grips with the truth he had just heard. I had to do something, his father continued vehemently. I had to abduct this girl and see things through. I just couldn't take it. Katone had already been taken from me. The thought of losing Suzune too, I had to make sure I didn't fail. So it was this organ trafficker who came up with the kidnapping scheme then, Stanley said. He kept his gun aimed at his target. Daisuke nodded. Describe him for me. He was tall, had black hair, spoke fluent Japanese. Stanley raised an eyebrow at that. Achi wondered if he had some idea who it might be. And taking Maria Asawa hostage in order to lure out Hitomi? That was his idea as well. Yes, that's right. I allowed his computer to access my surveillance camera systems as well. But then, this morning, I got a call from the hospital saying Suzune's condition was critical. I couldn't wait any longer. I had to help my girl right away. And then... Daisuke cut himself off, reaffirming his grip on his stun gun. I was looking at the surveillance monitor. I saw a detective I happened to know. He was right next to this girl here. And so I decided to ask him. I knew if I did, he wouldn't refuse. He could never refuse a request from me. And that was the man with the cane? Achi asked. His voice was low and hoarse. Yes, I was giving him directions while I followed you on the monitors. Dad, you need to let go of Hitomi now. There's no point to this. Achi took another step closer to his father. There is a point. If I kill this girl here and now, your sister can get the surgery she needs. But even Achi knew that things couldn't possibly work out that way. His father had grown so desperate to help Suzune that he lost all sense of judgment. Why, Achi? Why won't you help me? Don't you want to save Suzune? Daisuke made a pathetic sight. And yet his desperation to save his child was so palpable, it was heart-rending. Achi thought back This fucking orchestra kick-in thing. Achi thought back to the time he laid his father out when sparring. No matter how pathetic he may have looked, Achi had always felt that sense of paternal love for him. You're not going to be able to talk him down, Stanley murmured. Achi shook his head. Stanley, he said, lower your gun. Tears were welling up in his eyes. Please, lower your gun. Hearing the determination in Achi's voice, Stanley quietly complied. Achi stepped up to Daisuke, getting a firm grip on his father's slender shoulder. Dad, of course I want to help Suzune. Then why are you trying to stop me? Dad, do you think this is what she'd want you to do? Daisuke's face fell. Did Suzune ask for this, Dad? Did she tell you to take someone else's heart so that she could live longer? Did she, Dad? Suddenly the fight seemed to ebb from Daisuke's body. The stun gun hung limply in his hands. If Suzune asked me to go and get someone's heart for her, I wouldn't object. I'd help her, just like she wanted. I wouldn't let you bear these crimes by yourself. But that's not what this is it? Suzune would never ask us to do something like this, would she? By now, tears were streaming down Achi's cheeks. He knew that his father thought about Suzune more than he thought of anyone else. And so he should know full well that she would never want this. Suzune is not like me. She's smart, she's kind, and she'd never be happy about taking someone else's heart. Even if it saved her life, I'm sure she'd never accept that. She wouldn't be able to live with it, knowing something so horrible had happened to someone else for her sake. Isn't that the Suzune we know? Daisuke's cheeks were smeared with tears, now as well. But then we're not going to be able to help her. The sound of father and son weeping echoed through the workroom. Maybe so. Maybe we won't. But that's better than the misery and suffering she'd have to live with. Daisuke slumped to his knees on the floor, collapsing like a crumbling mound of sand. Hitomi, freed from his grip, stood motionless. There were tears in her eyes, too. You're such an idiot, Dad. Such a complete, utter idiot. Sobbing, Achi embraced his father. There was a sudden thud from near the door. Everyone turned to look. Maria had crumpled to the floor, and a newcomer had appeared. At some point, Kanan had silently entered the room. Now she cradled Maria in her arms. Standing in the doorway was a man Achi didn't recognize, his face pale. Stay back! Kanan shouted at Achi when he tried to approach. It looked like Maria had fallen unconscious. Achi's heart was racing in his chest. An eerie silence fell over the room. For several seconds, no one said a word, their eyes all fixed on Maria. Finally, Kanan looked up, her face ashen. It's starting. I hear loud music outside. At 11:25, someone's playing loud music outside. Oh, Minorikawa's thing opened back up. Oh, it opened back up because I had chose. Well, I might as well go through it then. Endo! Chama furrowed his brow and muttered under his breath. No, that's not right. Then Tanaka. No, not that. It was something else. Just then, the television inside the cafe switched over to news report on the Shibuya explosion. Probably finished the loop, right? Yes, okay, cool. Okay, so that's at to be continued. This is at a keep out. To be continued, a keep out. I guess we could keep going. I mean, if we're only at 2 more apparently stories to go. We've got 2 still Maria at end, and then 2 to be continued, and then 2 keep out, so that we can seemingly jump through. So I assume I can jump here to there. I would assume this would actually wrap up pretty quickly from jumping. I'm assuming would wrap up quickly. Because it's just going to be him. And then the Kanan doing her thing. After the young man's desperate pleading, the other fellow, apparently his father, finally gave in. He released his hold on Hitomi. The tension in the room was replaced by a solemn air of gravitas. Seeing father and son weeping as they spoke made Kano think back to his conversation with Tatsuno before the stakeout. What was it in people that drove them to do such horrible things? Sometimes it was the desire to save the ones they loved. Even such a heartfelt human emotion could drive someone to wrongdoing. Why? Why do people have to be like that? A sudden thud snapped Kano out of his musing. An instant later, Kanan hurried past him into the workroom. Maria had collapsed onto the floor, and now Kanan was beside her. In a panic, Kano rushed into the workroom as well. "Stay back!" Kanan shouted as the others tried to huddle into the fallen girl. Wait. Around the fallen girl. "Please don't be what I think this is." Had the virus gone symptomatic? 2 hours ago, Stanley had told Kano that Maria was infected. He also said that her symptoms wouldn't develop for another 4 hours. Shouldn't they still have 2 more hours to go? Maria looked like she was dead. Her eyes closed, her body motionless. Hitomi tried to approach despite Kanan's warning. "Maria!" she cried out. "Maria, what's wrong?" Kano held his arms wide to hold her back. "Your sister has been infected with the Urovirus." "The Urovirus?" Tomi's face went pale. "Hey," Kano said to Kanan, "should you really be that close? If she's developed symptoms..." But Kanan didn't move from Maria's side. She calmly rested her hand on the other girl's forehead. "There's no fever," she said. "There's no blood coming from her ears. No lymph swelling. It'll be alright. I'll be alright. She hasn't gone symptomatic yet." "In that case, why did she collapse?" Tomi asked. "I'm not sure yet. Whatever the case, if we don't get her that antiviral, she's done for." "Then we have to get her to the lab right away," Tomi said. She was trembling with anxiety. "No, that's not an option." Kano's tone was grave. "You may already be aware, Miss Asawa, but without a password we can't access the antiviral storage." "But when I went there, my father and Mr. Tanaka..." "Mamoru Tanaka is dead. Murdered." "What?" She stared at him uncomprehendingly. No, that can't be true. He was a member of a crime syndicate. It's possible they killed him in order to silence him." "So then, there's no way to save my sister?" There was a hollow look into Tomi's eyes. "No, I won't accept that." "Why? Why can't we help her?" But no one had an answer. Kano gritted his teeth and hung his head. Why did it have to come to this? He'd come this far, but there was nothing he could do, and he hated himself for it. Just hated himself. "I'll go to the laboratory." It was Kanan. "Electronic lock breaking is my specialty." "Wait," the young man, Achi, spoke up suddenly. "So you're a martial arts badass, but your specialty is lock picking?" He looked positively dumbstruck. Kanan ignored him, thinking out loud. Brute force. A cryptanalysis technique that involves test input of all theoretical possible patterns. If time were unlimited, this would be the most reliable means of decipherment. However, in practice, the process takes massive amounts of time and computational power and can be defeated by systems that prohibit access after a limited number of failed input attempts. That is correct. Side channel. Rather than trying to decipher the password itself, this method involves analyzing information from the device, such as processing time, power consumption, electromagnetic leaks, and using these details to exploit the system. Isolating the run state devices is a crucial element of countering side channel attacks. Shortcut. We're learning a cryptanalysis method that uses mathematical algorithms to carry out efficient bulk calculations against a block cipher that makes use of a shared key for encryption and decryption. Even when calculations are theoretically possible, however, in practice the process requires large amounts of time and the block cipher is seldom at real risk. Given this situation, I think I have to go with side channel. Side channel? Stanley asked. Where's your equipment? One of the lab PCs will suffice. I can connect to a special server from the net. I don't really understand the stuff you're talking about, Achi said. Of course you don't. But I'll trust you to handle this. I mean, you did risk your life to save Hitomi from that minivan explosion and all. Kanan nodded. I have to warn you in advance, though. Cryptanalysis can take hours and still yield no results. I can't guarantee I'll be able to get the doors unlocked before Maria develops symptoms. I understand, Hitomi said. Achi nodded, too. No one present had any objections. Beep boops, beep boops. All of a sudden, there's a curious sound from somewhere in the room. What's that? Kano asked. What's making that noise? He looked around the workroom. It's gonna be a bomb or something. That's my computer. Daisuke hurried to his desktop. The bank of monitors, which had been displaying surveillance camera footage from around Shibuya, had all gone black. What the hell? What's going on, Dad? Achi joined his father, staring at the computer screens. It's all gone. The camera footage. It has been deleted. Daisuke blinked in disbelief. Now then, it seems our main cast has all been assembled. A man's voice, distorted by a voice modulator, suddenly emerged from the computer speakers? The fuck? This is the reveal. Yanagashita. 0! It is 0! You're right! Oh shit! Oh god! Let's play a game! The Nonary game! Oh my god. Oh, I would be shitting bricks right now. A moment later, the monitors all began to display a view of the inside of the workroom. Dad, what the hell is this? Someone's broken through our firewall. It's a security system for preventing unauthorized intrusion into a computer network. The term stems from a metaphorical reapplication of the concept of a wall meant to inhibit the spread of fire or other destructive forces. They've hijacked their surveillance camera system. The color drained from Daisuke's face as he looked at the screens. Where are they filming us from? Kano asked, scanning the inside of the room. He used the image of the monitors to guess where the cameras might be located. Looks like right at the monitors. Over here? The lens of a camera set atop the computer monitor glimmered like an eye. It was a miniature camera used for web conferencing and the like. Now that Maria and Hitomi are both there, you've probably surmised the situation at hand, and so I offer a proposal. The laboratory password in exchange for Hitomi's blood. Realizing now that it was Alfred's voice they were hearing, everyone in the room froze. At 7 o'clock, roughly 1 hour from now, see that Hitomi Asawa is waiting at the Scramble intersection outside Shibuya Station, just like this morning. Unless, of course, you're feeling particularly confident. You do have Kanan with you. Perhaps you would care to take a gamble on her lock-breaking skills instead. Kanan clucked her tongue. In frustration. Cluck, cluck, clucked. Alfred had known exactly what the plan was. Of course, if Kanan isn't able to get the door open in time, what will you do then? Maria's sure to die, yes? But that's not all. If you don't agree to my offer, I have the means of creating another Maria, and a third. These infectees will spread the virus through Tokyo. The death toll will likely number in the hundreds of thousands. It is difficult to predict the scope of infection in the event of a bioterrorist attack employing a highly infectious viral agent in a city with a large and mobile population. In a worst-case scenario, some researchers estimate as many as several million infected in a matter of days. So do think carefully before you proceed. Alfred's voice was chillingly matter-of-fact. I will appear at the rendezvous in person. After all, it wouldn't do for the star of the show to miss the final curtain. I'm looking forward to meeting all of you there. Then, silence fell. Then the images on the computer monitor returned to normal. Their surveillance camera footage came back online as well. Fucking creepy. Daisuke promptly yanked out his Ethernet cable and slammed his fist on the keyboard. Damn it, there's a hole in the firewall. I'll have to redo my security from the ground up. Good call, Kanan said calmly. We can't win this if our intel keeps getting leaked. Stanley pursed his lips in consternation. What do we do? Kano asked him. Do we give in to his demands? I mean, do we really expect he's just going to blithely show up like that? He's practically begging for us to come and catch him. There had to be some deeper plan at work. If it means saving my sister, I'll do it. Hitomi was resolute. No, Stanley said, you can't. What? Why not? Because if you do, you'll be killed. What? Tomi's voice caught in her throat. With the antiviral still present in your body, a week after the fact, you're too much of a liability for Alfred to just let go. He's right. Don't do it, Achi exclaimed. Hitomi, you can't go. Even still, I want to do it. Hitomi stared defiantly at Stanley. You still want to go, even knowing that you'll be killed? I can't just sit here and hope that Kanan is able to pull this off, she said. I want to do something for my sister. I want to save her. She peered down at Maria, sprawled on the floor. She'd object to me going, I'm sure of that. But I want to do what I can. To do things my way. No one tried to contradict her this time. If she's willing to take the risk, there are things the rest of you can do, too. It was Kanan again. Let's hear it, Kano replied. He squared his shoulders. He was of the same mind as Hitomi. He couldn't just do nothing and leave it all on Kanan. After everything he'd been through, he wanted to stick with this case until the very end. Apprehend Alfred at the rendezvous and demand the password from him. Kanan offered the suggestion as if it were a simple task. That lets you get what you want without putting Hitomi in danger. Kano let out a sigh. Hold on, he said. Even if we do arrest him, how are we going to get him to cough up the password? We don't have time to drag him off to an interrogation room. And besides, he doesn't strike me as the sort to offer a confession that easily. There are ways, Kanan said. Once Alfred has made contact with Hitomi, call my cell phone. Hitomi tilted her head. Call you? I have plenty of information Alfred might want to bargain for. I can negotiate with him directly. Kano considered Kanan's proposal. I see. So we'll try both options. Attempt to hack the password at the lab and also try negotiating with Alfred. That gives us 2 chances. With that tiny ray of hope, Tomi's face brightened some. We'll split into 2 groups, one for the lab and one for Shibuya Station, Kanan said. Let's exchange phone numbers so we can be in touch when the time comes. The group quickly shared contact info as suggested. Hitomi and Kanan called one another's phone to be sure. Hitomi's cheerful ringtone fell out of place, but also somehow soothing. A fragment. Oh my god, I can't read. A fragment of normalcy in the midst of crisis. Well, guess we're all set then, Hitomi said, looking down at the LCD screen. Her expression turned apologetic. I'm sorry, Kanan, for having to keep putting things on you. Hey, Kanan replied, don't worry about it. Okay, now I guess I should call my father. Hitomi called Kenji Asawa on his cell, asking him to let Maria and Kanan into the lab, and that will be the jump point we need. Kano leaned in to whisper into Kanan's ear. Are you sure you're okay with this? With what? I know that you're after Alfred. Are you sure you want to go to the lab and not... Right now I want to save Maria. That's all. Her tone was as curt and mechanical as ever, but there was a fierce gleam of determination in her eyes. Damn, she really loves Maria. Maria was clearly someone very special to her. Yeah. Alright, Kano replied. Leave Alfred to me. He thumped himself on the chest. He succeeded this time no matter what the odds. He'd succeed this time, no matter what the odds. Kano could scarcely recall the whirlwind of events that had brought him here. He'd somehow survived a dozen disasters. Even now, a dear friend was in the hospital, at risk of dying. There were times when he'd be ready to give up. And yet, at the end of it all, here he was. His opponent was an international terrorist. No matter how you looked at it, that wasn't a matchup for a mere detective. But I'm gonna do it anyway. Rumi, Shizu, Sasayama, and Detective Tatsuno. I'm gonna take down Alfred and save Maria Sawa's life. Just you watch and see. Okay, we can finish out Asawa's story here for the night. We got this. Stretch my legs. Ooh, buddy. Okay, so yeah, I guess this isn't the last hour in the game like I thought it was. Mistitled video, misleading content. Alright, we're just finishing that Asawa thing here. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Kenji. Asawa. Okay. Tanaka hadn't given Ai his password. Asawa's last chance had gone up in smoke. He let out a long, shaky breath and shut his eyes tight. Was it true? Was there nothing more he could do? Asawa's cell phone rang. When he saw the name on the incoming call display, he nearly shouted out loud. It was Hitomi. Hitomi? Are you alright? Please, tell me you're alright. Yeah, I'm fine. But Maria? Is Maria there with you? Asawa's heart leaped. Dad, there isn't any time for me to explain everything, so I'll have to just give you the main points. This is so we can save my sister, so just stay calm and listen. Asawa struggled to hold back the 1,000 questions that immediately came boiling into his mind. There's a girl named Kanan who's going to bring Maria to the flab. She's going to try to hack the password in order to get us inside. Wait, hold on. Just what in the world is going on? There are a bunch of people here working to help save Maria. Can you wait for us at the lab, Dad? I'm not sure that electronics lock is something that'll be so easy to... We've got another plan in motion too, and if that goes well, we might be able to learn this password. It was all too much to follow, but Asawa realized he'd have to take Hitomi at her word. It was their only hope of saving Maria. Alright, he said. I'll do as you ask. But... You said you're trying 2 approaches. You're not going to be in danger, are you? No, I'll be fine. Don't worry about me. Okay. Very well. I'm heading to the laboratory now. You can't. You can't go. Fuck off, Ai. Honestly, just fuck off. I don't want to hear. The moment Asawa hung up and started for the house, Ai clung to him from behind. If you use the antiviral now, she said, everything will go public. There's no way we can keep the virus or the antiviral under wraps at this point. Asawa tried to pull free, but his wife was stronger than he expected. Besides, if Maria infects other people, the whole world is going to find out in a matter of hours. No, we can just quarantine her. If it's handled correctly, we'll still be able to retain secrecy. Ai's voice was cold as ice. Do you even have any idea what you're saying right now? I do. I know how it sounds, but this is the only thing. The only thing I can... Her voice trailed off. He could feel the force of her trembling where she held him. Have I really put you into that much of a corner? Asawa slipped from Ai's arms and prostrated himself on the ground in front of her. I'm sorry. I'm truly, truly sorry. Oh, stop this. Get up. If you're really sorry, then don't go to that lab. But Asawa remained silent, his forehead pressed to the dirt. If you use that antiviral without corporate approval, your time with Akoshi is finished. That doesn't matter to me anymore. How can you say that? Virology is the only thing you've ever cared about. I began pummeling his back. Maybe virology is all that I care about. I don't know the first thing about anything else. I never wanted to know. Never even thought to find out. Never bothered to learn what you or my own children might think. I'm a failure as a father and as a husband. How dare you say that only after it's come to this? I struck him again, harder than before. You're right, he gasped out the words before her between her blows. Maybe this has been too long coming, but it's not too late. I can still start over. Start over? She paused in disbelief. You already turned down that American job. If you use that antiviral now, there won't be any starting over. You'll lose everything. Will I lose you too? After you've gone and thrown everything else away like this? How could I possibly stay with you? I was sobbing softly now. Asawa wondered what her tears were for. But there was one thing he did know. She was right. They couldn't be together anymore. It's that thing where it's like, as it gets later on in the night, just words, hard read. He got to his feet and headed back into the house, leaving Ai behind. He hurried through the back entrance and went into the garage. Climbed into his car, fastened his seatbelt, and took a deep breath. The image of a younger Maria rose in the back of his mind. There she was at the park, getting drenched by the rain, holding back her tears as she waited for her father. Wait for me, Maria. This time, I'm going to come for you. Damn, that's good. That's good. This is good. I was wrong. Going to the lab wouldn't mean losing everything. He'd let too many important things slip through his fingers. Now, it was time to go take them back. Asawa pulled his car into the street and sped toward the laboratory. As if to signal that the long day was drawing to a close, the dazzling sun sank down between the buildings in the distance. End of his story. And alright, so I guess we're getting no more Asawa point of view. To 20, a 2-hour chunk. Oh my god. We're parsing down the characters too. So like we started like, oh, here's Kano, and oh, here's Achi, and then we went to 5, and now we're going back down. Kind of interesting. Also, last 2-hour chunk now. Uh-oh, his thing is just keeped out. What the fuck? Oh, it won't even let me. Yeah, his thing's just not even there. So Kano and Minorikawa. Alright, maybe this will be the last time chunk. So maybe finale tomorrow night then? And if not tomorrow night, then Thursday night, it seems? I guess I was a fool to think that this would have been the last hour of the game. But like I said, I'd rather it keep going. I'm enjoying it. I'm along for the ride. Alright, so we'll go tomorrow. Potentially try to start maybe in just a bit earlier, so that just in case if it does run late to finish the game, maybe I can at least finish it tomorrow night. So maybe starting a bit earlier. And by that I mean like maybe around 8 o'clock my time. Maybe, if I can get my shit together. Tomorrow's already Wednesday, thank God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Alright. I need to get ready for bed. I need to, yeah, definitely. Definitely, I need to get ready for bed. I'm clearly sleepy. I feel like, I think I mentioned, just as I mentioned earlier, as like it goes later on to the night, I think I mess up more words as I've just been reading longer. I'm getting more progressively tired. Brain starts shutting down. But yeah, I'll see you later. And be back tomorrow night. So see you then.